Old school Pokemon here. I'm back again with the PokeFlipz podcast, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. And today we have a very special guest joining us. Probably one of his first YouTube debuts, Mr. Walrus, joining us today. Thank you for joining us. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well over here. I see the Bidoofs coming down in chat. Appreciate all of our members out there throwing up the support for Mr. Walrus himself.
Yeah, should be exciting. I'm looking forward to this one. Got a lot of spicy topics to talk about for this one.
Yeah, feel free everyone to leave your questions in the chat. We have no backlog. If you ask, it will be answered right away. But I don't know if one of you two wants to start with one of those topics that we had in mind while we wait for questions to roll in.
Nick, you were passionate about one of those.
Oh yeah. So first topic, for anyone who didn't hear about this earlier this week, there was some drama going on Instagram between WotC and some other person. I forget the name of the other person. But basically what happened was WotC listed something on Instagram. Or I'm sorry, listed something on eBay. A PSA 10 Gengar EX from Fire Red Leaf Green. The person the person who bought that Gengar was in contact with WotC. They were talking about the card for a little while. The person who bought it asked WotC if he wanted to do the deal through Instagram, and basically what happened was the person ended up buying the card off of eBay for the asking price. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was around $1,500. And then after the person bought the card, WotC canceled the sale because he realized that the card was way underpriced compared to a previous sale. I won't mention who actually sold the card previously, but there was a previous sale that was a lot higher than what WotC sold the card for. So WotC ended up canceling the sale. The buyer obviously got mad about that, and there was a little bit of Instagram drama going on about that whole situation. So I wanted to bring that up to you guys and see what your thoughts were on that one. Whose side are you on? Are you on the buyer's side of that or the seller's side of that?
I wasn't present for the drama, so I didn't really see it all unfold. I think a lot of it happened in Instagram stories, if I'm remembering correctly. But I think one important bit of nuance that I can throw in there is, was the item priced? I actually see it. I see it, apparently it was $1,350, and currently it's listed.
That sounds right.
It's listed for $4,500 now as a buy it now. So apparently it's not yet been sold at that new price. But anyways, was it listed by someone else who was just like fat fingering a button? Was it intended to be listed for $4,350 and then it was accidentally listed for $1,450 or $1,350, whatever it was? If it was a typographical error, I mean, you shouldn't make that, but I also don't think you should lose $3,000 over it. If I as a seller list an item, like putting me in the seller's shoes here, if I list an item and I know what I paid for it, I know what my cost of goods were, and I just am not well informed of private sales or whatever it may be. If I price an item for $1,350, I've taken into account, I've done some amount of research, I'm comfortable selling it for that price. If later on I hear that, oh man, you could have gotten $2K more for it, $3K more for it, I would be like, man, that's a real bummer for me. Like, I screwed up. I would honor the sale though. If I fat fingered it and had intended to do $4,350, I would not. But if I was just pricing it after my little bit of research and didn't do enough research, I would own that mistake and I would honor the sale. But I don't know which it was in that instance. I don't know if WotC just like looked at other PSA 10 Fire Red Leaf Green EX sales. Maybe there were no recent comps for Gengar EX. I haven't like delved too deeply into this, but that's where I stand.
I'm canceling.
Interesting. I'll know not to buy from you anymore.
No, you cancel that sale.
You think if you fat finger it, Nick, you think if you intend to list something for 10,000, let's say, and you leave off a 0, you would honor a $1,000 sale on a $10,000 item that you fat fingered?
So Mr. Walrus actually brought that up to me when we were talking about this earlier this week. That wouldn't happen for me. When I'm listing cheap cards, I list them quickly. So it could happen in a case like that. And in that case, I would honor it. On expensive cards, though, I take my time actually creating the listing, look up sold listings, look up pricing, all of that stuff. And then immediately when I click list item on eBay, I click on that view listing link. Every single time I list something over $500, I do that. And I just go through the listing, make sure everything's the way I want it to, and then move on from there. So in my opinion, it is 100% on Wolfie or whoever he had list that card for him. Because he did say it was his business partner who listed the card, which in my opinion doesn't make a difference. It's someone who works for you, works with you, whatever. At the end, you have to take responsibility of that. So I would honor that sale, even if I could have sold it for a lot more. And my thinking behind that is because I believe reputation is obviously the most important thing when you're running any type of business. And I think canceling those types of sales, especially in this case where there was all that drama on Instagram, could really hurt your business in the long run. And if you kind of continue to do that over and over again, it's definitely going to really hurt your business in the long run. So I would rather take that loss, use it as a learning experience, make the person who bought it happy, and just kind of move on from that.
You can do all that plus $3,000 though. Like you can learn the lesson and pocket the $3,000. Like
the thing is though that it hasn't sold. So Pokemon cards do not have set market prices. Just because one item sells for a certain price does not mean every other one in the pop report will. And Raheem here has some information. It says it was an accepted offer. The 4K was the only time it ever sold for that much, which was a couple days before. It usually sells for 1.5K-ish. So getting that bit of information, assuming it's true, which I have no reason to believe it's not, it sounds as if Wolfie did comp it, or whoever was listing it did comp it, didn't see the recent private sale. I would honor it in that case personally. I would see the recent sales of 1,500. I would probably have a hefty profit margin at that price. And yeah, I would honor the sale because it doesn't sound like it was like a typographical fat finger type error. And just because one sells for 4K does not mean another one will. Like there are times all the time. Years ago, it used to be a thing that like there was the Dave Person premium. If you were one of the first winners at Worlds to sell your trophy, you would get what Dave Person paid. Just because Dave Person paid X amount doesn't mean anyone else will. So like just because someone paid 4K for a Gengar EX PSA 10 does not mean that's a 4K card. If it's sold several times for 1,500 and then once for 4K, those are just data points. It's somewhere in between there. You run it for auction today, tomorrow, it might go for $2,000. It might go for 1,500. Like who knows? These things do not have. So he feels like people are feeling like he might have lost 2,500, but there might have been one buyer in the world at 4K, and that person already has theirs. There might not be another. The second highest bidder might be $1,500. So yeah, that's where I'm at on it. I think nuance is needed. I think context matters, and if assuming it wasn't like a typographical error, because I'm not going to eat 3K over a typographical error. But this is just like a theoretical thing. $2,500 was theoretically lost. But in reality, there might not be another buyer at 4K, nor 3K, nor 2K.
Yeah, and then the other thing is the other thing that I thought of about this was taking it to the extreme here. What if everyone started doing that? Everyone started listing stuff on eBay for what they thought was a fair price. Someone snap buys it, and then they go back and look at it further and say, "Oh man, I way undersold this. Let me go ahead and cancel that sale." One of the biggest things that everyone talks about who buys on eBay is to search Pokemon, constantly refresh, newly listed. And the reason why people say that is because of the good deals that pop up. Whether that be someone just not knowing what they have, someone accidentally pricing things wrong, or whatever. So what happens now if every single seller does the same thing that Wolfie did? That would eliminate any good buying opportunity. And I'm sure every single person who's big into buying and selling Pokemon has had those good buying opportunities on eBay. So I think that was part of my thing too. And then the other thing is I think it just looks scummy on the seller's part. I personally wouldn't ever want to deal with someone who does that. There's very, very few cards out there that you need to purchase off of one individual. The one person only has that select card. So for me anyway, knowing what he did, I will never buy from him again.
That feels like
I'm sure there's other people who think like that.
In me personally, like I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just
to that point though, when you get a steal, oh Jesus. To that point though, Nick, whenever you're buying like a steal on eBay or anything, do you not have to expect that sale to get canceled? Like,
it depends.
You're okay with it. Like, oh, like I knew this shit was too cheap. It got canceled because the buyer realized what he had, and then you move on.
Yeah, but at the same time, I won't waste time with that seller again. So I don't have a seller block list on eBay, but if I spend time going back and forth messaging someone on eBay, trying to work out a deal, and then I purchase something and the seller cancels it after that, I'll make a mental note to not buy from that person again.
Yeah, but if you're getting a steal, it should be expected that, hey, the sale might not go through because I know what it's worth.
Yeah, that is always that is always in the back of my mind. They could.
So you're not going to go on an Instagram crusade on the seller.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. But yeah, no, I just don't think it's morally, I don't think it's the right move. And I could honestly say it would never happen to me where I did cancel that sale. Because I just think it's scummy at the end of the day, and just like a shady business practice.
And at the end of the day, like I don't think it deserves anyone being canceled over or anything like that. When you are on the buyer side of a transaction, you do not own that item until not only you pay, but you ultimately receive the item. We always know that. We know that in this industry, unfortunately, sometimes you get a steal of a deal on an auction and then the person cancels. You cannot compel anyone to honor the sale of an item. I'm very much though, I like to think that I'm not like hypocritical. I like to think that I'm not favoring just the way that benefits me, because as a buyer, I've fat fingered a bid and I've won an auction accidentally. I've paid too much. I always pay it. I see a bid as a contract, and I see that from both sides. So very recent example, I'm currently mass opening MetaZoo Native right now. There are some singles from Native that I'm selling today for $80 that I listed on release day for $8, $7.99 instead of $79.99. I did not know their rarity. I did not know how hard they were to pull. I had pulled a few in my first case, so then I just thought that they were going to be like a normal average hollow pull. They ended up being one of the Native 19, one of the very hard to pull cards, about one per case. And I pre-sold all the ones I had. I mean, I cost myself hundreds of dollars in what I could have gotten. I shipped them out. I honored the sale. I created a contract by making a listing, and then a buyer ultimately committed to buy, paid, and I had their address. I had everything ready to go. It doesn't matter that it cost me hundreds of dollars. That was my fault. That was my fault for not being aware. The buyer was savvy. The buyer was aware of their value. He bought them, and he takes that win. I take that L, and I take it with I take it with composure. That's just business. Again, I don't know for sure whether it was a mispricing, like a typographical error. It's a weird situation if you have an employee. Like I don't have employees. If I had an employee listing and I told them to list it for $3,500 or $4,500 and they accidentally list it for $1,500, I don't know what I would do in that theoretical, because like I've never been in that scenario. But yeah, like I'm not trying to cancel anybody. I'm not trying to say this person's right, this person's wrong, but I'm just giving like the theoreticals of what I have done and what I would do. If I place a bid and win an item, I pay. The one sole exception to that I talked about recently, I've talked about a couple times, is I committed to buy while I was mowing my lawn on a Trophy Kangaskhan of John's.
Lawn, okay.
Which is the most ridiculous story, and it makes no sense. Yeah, my kid pressed the button, my kid did whatever. That's the one time in my entire... I've been on eBay for almost 20 years now. The one time I've accidentally committed to buy an item and then did not pay. And yeah, I took a phone call from John. I explained it, yeah. The meme that is the lawnmower on my channel. But anyways, I think that was an interesting conversation. I don't think there's like... It's not black and white, right? Like it's all a spectrum in between, and we all have our takes. And at the end of the day, like a sale isn't complete until the item is physically in hand. So there's not much you can do to, like, even though it's a contract, take them to small claims court, try to sue them. Good luck collecting on that. But
yeah,
it feels good for the seller to cancel shit as buyers always do. It's one for the sellers. Like,
and that's one thing.
I'll give you that one.
That's one thing I would say. I try to be as consistent as possible. I don't try to just take the side that benefits me. There are tons of people out there that would be very hypocritical, and they would say like, "Oh, I would absolutely cancel that as a seller. I'm not going to. I'm not going to take that on the chin. I'm not going to lose that money." Which again, as I mentioned, it's all just theoretical because there might not be a buyer for that. But then on the buying side, when they accidentally win an item, when they forgot to look at the extra photos, when they forgot to, they'll cancel it from the buying side. So it's like, you can't cancel on me as a seller, but I'm going to cancel you on as a buyer. And that's the worst take. Like when people just do solely what benefits them, they have no, like, that's such a common thing these days too. But I think that's important to just stay consistent on whatever side you take.
I think the surprising part of all of this is just like Nick's moral high ground on random topics.
Yeah, Nick is very inconsistent. I mean,
the halo here
doesn't return his cards, so it's like, I mean, what are we even talking about here? We're talking ethics and morality with a monster who doesn't return his card.
With a monster.
That's funny.
Oh man. Yeah, well, I thought that was a good topic to bring up, though. Some Instagram drama for the week there.
I see a bunch of question marks in chat, but I think they're mostly just meme questions. I guess we could talk about...
We had a few questions.
Yeah, Grimer collects. It is a meme question, but it's in reference to like a topic that I figured would come up today. I didn't open any alt arts in my Fusion Strike booster pack. Did the print group thieves rob me? I don't know if either of you... Obviously, it's been in the news everywhere. I think Rattle's covered it a few times. PokeRev even made a video talking about it. But the hits that we've seen in mass from Fusion Strike, from Evolving Skies... Do you guys have anything? I guess, Walrus, if you want to start, do you have any takes on that? Do you have anything you want to add to that conversation, what you've seen and heard about it?
I mean, the idea that this is the first time it's happened, like, this has absolutely been going on for some time. Like, just people aren't stupid enough to be posting it like these guys.
Yeah.
And I also think my conspiracy is that's why the Evolving Sky reprints were canceled. I think Pokemon knew that the hits were stolen. And I don't think they sold packs with no hits.
Interesting. What about you, Nick? Anything else to add to the whole Fusion Strike?
Yeah, it definitely sucks. I think like Mr. Walrus said, it definitely happens. People who do steal product just might not steal that much of it, or that stupid to post everything on social media. But it definitely does happen, I would imagine. Stuff like that is probably really hard for Pokemon to control 100%. It reminds me the Fusion Strike stolen cards in particular. Not so much the Evolving Skies, just because there was a lot less of those cards. There were still a lot of them, but the Fusion Strike pictures were unbelievable. That reminds me of the Gold Star Dogs back in the day. For those of you who don't know, back in, I forget exactly when, there was someone who stole a bunch of the Gold Star Dogs from, they got, I don't know the whole story, but they basically stole them from the factory. And they just had like three ring binders just full of Gold Star Dogs. And they actually uploaded a video onto YouTube showing all of the Gold Star Dogs. And pricing on those cards has never recovered. They're obviously a lot more expensive than they were when that video originally came out, but they're still, even to this day, by far the cheapest Gold Stars, and that is almost exclusively because of the stolen cards that came out. I would be really curious to know what would pricing look like on those cards if they never got stolen from the factory. Because in my opinion, the artwork on those cards is some of the best Gold Stars. I really like those cards myself, but with how many that are actually out there, it's tough for the pricing to really do anything. So the Fusion Strike hits reminds me a lot of that. Apparently, the cards got returned and are being destroyed by Pokemon, so hopefully it doesn't affect pricing too much. But I would be surprised if it doesn't have any effect on price for those cards. I think it will have some effect, just because we don't know, did the person who stole them already grade a bunch, sell a bunch, or were they just starting to sell them? So we don't know that information. So I do think pricing will get affected. It's just a matter of how much. And then the only other thing I have to add is how are people that stupid to
It's a thief.
Steal all the cards?
It's a thief.
And then post them on whatever site. Doesn't make any sense to me.
The amount of money flowing around in this industry, how easy it is to make an honest buck. Thankfully, people who like stoop to theft are very, very dumb individuals disproportionately. So thankfully, we saw the videos of the Gold Star Dog or Gold Star Beast horde. One thing I wanted to just shout out quick, Java Akuma, thanks for the 5 gifted. Nick, feel free to use those emotes. Looks like you landed one of the gifted memberships. But anyways, on the Fusion Strike, yeah, per that one picture, just quick napkin math, estimating how many packs would have been required to pull all those hits. I believe the Gold Star Legendary Beast Horde, I want to say that was 5,000 of each Gold Star approximately. That would equate to roughly 500,000 packs. 500,000 packs for those to come out properly in proper distribution of one per 72 packs. Fusion Strike, per my very rough math, it looked like that would have been at least 250,000 packs, if not 2 million packs worth. It was very, very hard to tell how many were there. I heard that picture was only approximately 10% of what was taken too. I heard one number stated, I don't know how legitimate, 20,000 hits were taken, I had heard. And that picture only looked like maybe a couple thousand. So there were different pictures out there too. But anyways, Pokemon did make a formal statement on it. They made a formal statement that they take security seriously, that they recovered the bulk of those cards, that no packs were functionally affected, whatever the case may be. And I believe them. I don't think they would come out with a statement and lie about that. Rattle had all his own theories about how they were probably stolen before they got to those feeders, blah, 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 whatever. If those feeders were running empty, someone would get alerted, some bell would go off, some light would light up, and then someone would fix it and restock them, I'd imagine. But anyways, it does lend the question, it does beg the question of like, how often does this happen? And presumably, realistically, it's probably always happened some small amount. These things are mass produced. I used to work at a company, at a facility where we had like a gold production cell. And the security around that, because gold has a very high and very clear market value, anyone can take it to any pawn shop and get like 90-95% of its value. We took security around that production area extremely seriously. Like everything was just locked down and everything was monitored in and out. And this is a weird situation because like production value wise, obviously to my company and to a pawn shop, to everyone and anyone, gold has a very clear, obvious value. Cardboard, shiny cardboard almost has a higher like per weight value than gold in many instances, which is just nuts. Like a Moonbryon, think about it. It weighs it weighs a couple grams and it's worth $1,000. But anyways, it's this weird dynamic where to Pokemon, the raw materials are nothing. Like a Moonbryon might cost a tenth of a cent to manufacture. But then instantly, once it's manufactured, they're manufacturing them by the thousands or tens of thousands. And now they're worth, I mean, you got a stack of 1,000 Moonbryons, you've got somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. And the raw material cost was only $10 to the Pokemon company. So how they handle that, how they handle security around that, hopefully they're cracking down. Hopefully they have since. Apparently this all happened a couple years ago. But it is just like fascinating thought experiment to wonder like how many people pad their salary. Like you have workers that are probably making $500-600 a week in a 40-hour work week, net take home pay. If they are able to steal one Moonbryon, and I'm not advocating anyone do this, please, no one steal anything from anywhere at any time. But like, there are people probably that have doubled their salary by just stealing one Moonbryon a week, like forever, and never getting caught. And it's only when it's done in this mass amount that it gets caught. And PK Ono with the extra illustrators and the extra like trophy cards, it happens at every level in Pokemon, and it's not surprising that it happens with mass printed set cards. It's crazy though to see all in one photo.
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't the Gold Star dogs still have been pulled though, regardless? And they just suck, and that's why they're not expensive?
No, I think these were like,
man, tearing at my heartstrings there.
Like if you steal 5,000, like they would have been in packs and pulled regardless. Like they would have been in the market.
Presumably, that's one thing. That's one thing that we never know.
Would all of those boxes have been opened?
It could have been an employee.
There's probably a better chance they would have been opened back then, because not as many people were keeping sealed product.
Well, it could have been an employee who was just gone rogue, running extra print runs that weren't ordered. Like distributors might have ordered 100,000 or 1 million boxes, and they might have made the 1 million boxes worth of Gold Star beasts, and then, oh, why am I going to stop at 1 million? Why don't I just print an extra 5,000 boxes worth? Or you know what I'm saying? Like instead of printing to order, they print just an extra 1,000 Moonbryons or 1,000 Gold Star Entei. That's one thing that we don't know for sure. Etnies. At the end of the day, though, like it's a thing. It happened. Pokemon reclaimed most of them. It sounds like destroyed them. Your packs weren't affected. I think that's that.
Never pulled a Moonbryon. It makes you think.
Yeah.
There's no Moonbryons in boxes anymore. That's why.
Garen M has a new question for us. I was talking with Retro this morning about it, but do you guys believe in splitting bigger submissions up into smaller ones to avoid the risk of a grumpy grader? One thing that I always say when this question comes up, if you're grading periodically, like over a long period of time, very frequently, it doesn't make a difference in my opinion. Whether you submit one 200 card submission or 4 50 card submissions, if you're doing it every month for the next decade, like I intend to, it's all going to smooth out. It's all going to average out, because just like you could get a grumpy grader and get all 8s on your 200 cards, you could also get someone who just got a promotion, just got a raise, just had a good night the night before, whatever it may be, and they could hit all 10s. Long-term average, you're going to see the same thing. If, though, you are one person who's submitting one time in your life, and at the end of the day, like let's call it EV, the expected value is still going to be the same, right? Like there's some percent chance you're going to get a happy grader, some percent chance you're going to get a mad grader, and some percent chance you're going to get like the ideal scenario and everything's going to be graded true. So at the end of the day, it's all just like comfort level and risk level. If you are ever shipping more cards than you can afford to lose, insured or not, there are crazy scenarios where people are insured and their insurance doesn't pay out or things can happen. So if it helps you sleep better at night and it avoids like a risk of a total loss, going bankrupt over losing a card submission, not even anything to do with the grades, but I would say split things up into smaller increments. But at the end of the day, like I send things in fairly large submissions just because it's all going to average out in the end. What about you guys?
You can go ahead.
I do it in smaller submissions, just like I think my limit is like 65, 50, whatever. But the opposite can be said. What if you didn't send it and you got a really good grader that gave you 10s? That's never like the counter argument that's made to that. Like, what if you just got the happiest grader that's giving 10s to everybody, and because you only sent 50, you miss out?
Yeah.
But I am still sending it 50 though, because I would rather get wrecked in one submission than not.
Yeah. So lately I've been trying to send a certain amount of cards every month. Right now I'm trying to do 500 cards a month. And usually that's broken up into 2 submissions. So 250 cards a piece. One towards the beginning of the month and one towards the end of the month. And the reasoning behind I don't really have a good reason for that outside of I don't want to spend as long sitting down and filling out the submission form and all that stuff. Rather break it up. So yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to that. As far as like doing a few smaller submissions versus one bigger submission. One thing I do pay attention to is going along these lines. How many of the same card I'll send in one submission, and that's something I put a lot of thought into. Like people, if you send 250 of the same card, is the grader going to get sick of looking at those cards and start to overanalyze every detail on them? So for me personally, I'll only send 25 copies of the same card within one submission. That's something I've always done. Probably something that I always will do. Just because I always have that. I know I hate looking at the same card over and over and over
you
again.
Said 25 though?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a lot.
Oh, I was gonna say that feels low.
The same card, and he doesn't want the submitter to get sick of looking at it.
Yeah, I've done like 50.
No, but on some like shadowless commons and uncommons, I have hundreds of each of those cards. So if I submit 5, 10 in one submission, it's going to take me forever to send all those. And it definitely does make it nice where you can just hit quantity 25, enter the information, have like 8 cards on one submission, and you got your 200 cards right there. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. It doesn't happen with a lot of cards, but a few cards it definitely does. Like recently the shadowless cards, Ancient Muse, I had a bunch. So on stuff like that, I do like to send as much as possible, but I do like to limit it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think it, at least for me too, like if I have it, I like 15 just opened, I'm probably gonna send like 100 tomorrow. It's not more because I don't have that much more ready. And my ultimate goal, like it depends on what you're doing, right? I'm a business. I want to get a regular amount out every week, basically. I want to submit 100 a week. And one nice thing about the slightly smaller, because you can go up to 500. I don't want to submit like only once a month and then get 400 cards back all at once. So just from like a logistics side of the business, I'd rather have 100 card submissions landing every week approximately than 500 card submissions landing once a month. Just kind of keeping the inflow and outflow fairly steady and regular is one of my considerations too. Losty wants to know our thoughts on Japanese black and white XY era full arts. I am getting into Japanese sets a little bit more as far as the sealed product. I do not do anything with Japanese singles really, aside from like the really older promos and things of that nature. And I guess some newer promos too, but I really have no thoughts on Japanese black and white XY era full arts.
Oh boy, Mr. Walrus, you better have some thoughts here.
If you can't read it, don't buy it. That's it.
There you go.
If you can't read it, don't buy it.
Succinct.
I
I like
even
it.
like the English black and whites, so like, oof.
I like it. I like it. What about you, Nick?
I'm the same as you, Dan. I pay very little attention to Japanese stuff outside of I do like Japanese for the WotC era, and then modern Japanese sealed product. Been doing a little bit with that, not quite as much as Dan, but been doing a little bit with that. But anything EX era, Diamond and Y, Sun and Moon, whatever. I don't know anything about that stuff. So I can't help you out there. Sorry, Losty.
CC Republic wants to know if you're going to be breaking down every set for the foreseeable future. Based off the views on your Scarlet Violet video, you should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just gonna start uploading 4 YouTube videos a year of just the newest set release, and that's how I'll indefinitely stay ahead of Dan on YouTube subs. Because for whatever reason, well, I guess it makes sense because it's the newest set, and I'm uploading the video the day before the set release. Those videos do very, very well for me. My Crown Zenith upload got like 14,000 views. My Scarlet and Violet upload got like 12,000 views, which my channel is unbelievable. A typical video that I used to upload back when I was doing YouTube would get like 500 views on average. If it was a really good video, it might get 800. Very rarely would I break 1,000 views on a video. So those numbers are just crazy to me. It makes more sense how channels like Deep Pocket Monsters, PokeRev can grow so quickly. The amount of people watching modern videos is crazy. But to answer the actual question about what was the actual question?
I already took it off the screen. Are you going to be doing mass breaks of every set for the foreseeable future? And what do you look for in a set to be able to maximize its full potential?
Yeah. Okay. So I gotta do a video talking about my new thoughts on this. I talked about it a little bit on one episode of PokeFlipz. I'm actually done with TCGPlayer, not selling on TCGPlayer anymore. So my new kind of philosophy for modern product openings is list all of the hits, list the reverse holos and the holos, and then list complete sets of like the commons, uncommons, holos, complete reverse holo sets, and then just bulk out the rest of the cards. So doing that, I might have to pay a little bit more attention to what's going to be in each set to determine whether or not I want to open the set or just sell sealed product. It's kind of a different time right now because with the new MSRP increase, not that boxes are selling at the new MSRP, but boxes are selling at 120, 125, which at that point, even though my cost on those boxes went up, I can still make a little bit of money per box selling them sealed on eBay, TCGPlayer. My website's starting to pick up a little bit more traction, so on the website would be ideal. So I think going forward, I did open a good bit of Scarlet and Violet. But going forward, I think I'm going to pay more attention to what's actually in the set. Whether kind of get an idea on whether or not I would personally enjoy opening the set, enjoy the cards in the set, and then kind of base my decision on whether or not I want to open as much product. Kind of just off of the feel of the set. Like Crown Zenith, absolutely loved that set. I would 100% open that again. Scarlet and Violet, I thought was a complete dud set. I typically really enjoy doing these mass openings and looking at the cards. Scarlet and Violet was one that I kind of got sick of opening boxes after a certain point of it. So if I had this mentality back when Scarlet and Violet came out, I would have looked at the set and I probably wouldn't have opened as much as I did. I think I would have focused more on selling the sealed boxes at that point. Hopefully that answers the question.
Eric Drinks Water had a pretty quick one. Why are cards notably more expensive on Troll and Toad compared to TCGPlayer? Example from 2 weeks ago. Sword Shield 261 was 20 on Troll and Toad, yet there were over 50 listings for 10 on TCGPlayer. SM 248 and Sword Shield 133 also 2x. Market inefficiencies. There are various different selling platforms. They each have their own sell-through rates. They each have their own people selling on them. There are times where Troll and Toad is considerably cheaper than TCGPlayer or eBay. It just depends on the day. It depends on what card you're looking at. I know this, like, as an Evo seller, I do sell a decent amount of stuff at a premium to TCGPlayer, but there are times where, like, a playable card might spike, like, say, a Versus Seeker or an Ultra Ball or Nest Ball, something along those lines. Troll and Toad only has some amount of, like, player base, user base. I can only push some amount of product through. So I've seen times where a $5 card on TCGPlayer, I can't sell it at $250 on Troll and Toad. So it's just market inefficiencies of illiquid, non-fungible items that it's always going to be present to some extent. There's always going to be some amount of platform arbitrage. So that said, as a seller, try to optimize where you're selling to get the most money. As a buyer, try to optimize where you're buying to get the best deal.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. There's definitely arbitrage opportunity between eBay, TCGPlayer, and Troll and Toad, but now you can't really be a seller on Troll and Toad. But there's definitely opportunity buying on Troll and Toad and then immediately flipping on TCGPlayer or eBay. That's one thing that if I had more time, that's another thing that I would look into, kind of getting into. Is just buying cheap cards on one platform, selling them on another platform. I feel like it would take a tremendous amount of time to be successful with, but I think that's something that you could. People do actively do that already, and I think you could be successful doing that if you have the time to actually do that. But as far as why the pricing is so much different. I think a big part of it just comes down to people using certain platforms. Like eBay, for example. I list the cheapest I can list a card for on eBay, 99 cents. On TCGPlayer, some of those same cards are listed for 5 cents. So the pricing is incredibly higher on eBay. But some people don't buy on TCGPlayer. They exclusively buy on eBay. And the same is true with Troll and Toad. Some people might just buy on Troll and Toad because they know they're a reputable company. They know that they'll get you your cards quickly. Hopefully they know that their condition is awful, but but I think that's mainly why.
Anything to add,
How about
Mr.
you, Mr.
Walrus?
Walrus? Anything to add to that one?
Well, I think people will buy more expensive things from trusted sellers too, which is why I don't buy from Nick, because his near mint is dented.
There we go. I like it.
But I told Nick too, like, I will pay a little bit more if I know the seller is going to sell exact condition that you're buying, and I think that goes a long way too. I bought from Troll and Toad, and I got like 20 cards all in one card sleeve, like just jammed together. Same thing from TCGPlayer, so you just avoid certain sellers.
And some of it might be like just completeness of their catalog, completeness of their offerings. If one site has the 20 cards I need for my binder, I might opt to go with them over going 5 from Troll and Toad, 10 from TCGPlayer. And Nick hit it really well. Some people exclusively buy through one platform. So if you care to take the time to, and if you're like a savvy buyer who will shop around, you can really save yourself a lot of money. And again, same thing from the selling side, just optimizing your sales platform. Peak That Chew had a question for all of us. Thoughts on the DJ Gigabyte / Dave Person podcast. Really hope this helps Dan, DJ Gigabyte, grow his channel a lot more this year. PokeFlipz collab with them. Definitely potential. I was watching that this morning, so I did not get through the whole thing. I don't know that they're going to do like a recurring podcast every week, every month, I didn't hear anything about like it being a recurring thing with any certain duration. But I've dealt with both those guys. I met Dan, DJ Gigabyte, a few years back at Worlds. Both really big people in the hobby. So definitely interested to see, and I will be following their videos if they continue to make more. I don't know if either of you two saw that or know either of them.
Was that an actual video or just an announcement?
Yeah, it was. I believe Dan, DJ Gigabyte, posted it on his channel. But yeah, it just came out like yesterday or today, I think. I saw. I think I'm actually friends with DJ Gigabyte on Facebook, so I think that's where I saw it initially.
Gigabyte's the guy you scammed with the PSA 10 Dan, right?
Yeah. I sold one of 3 in the world. I'll link the video for anyone interested in checking that out. But there's the link to the video. It's like an hour-long video with DJ Gigabyte, who is very, very knowledgeable. He actually has a YouTube channel, smaller YouTube channel. He probably has the most disproportionate like subscribers to his knowledge. I'm looking at it right now. He has 1.26K subscribers. And there is no one who has a higher like knowledge to subscriber base. Like he has, like I have double the subscribers somehow. PokeFlipz has about the same amount of subscribers, and his combined knowledge compared to Nick and I, like just on all the nuances, like the nitty gritty of different like subtle niche releases, and he has a vast expanse of knowledge on that type of stuff. So yeah, go check that out. I linked it in the description if anyone wants to add it to their watch later.
And then it's not even in just Pokemon. He literally knows like every single TCG that's ever existed.
Yeah,
it's absurd the knowledge that he has. I don't know how he knows as much as he does. But yeah, I saw I actually saw Pikachu's Instagram story about the podcast between them two, and I have it on my if we weren't doing this podcast right now, I would be listing cards on eBay and listening to that right now. But I'll probably give that a listen to tomorrow. Really excited for it. I'm excited to hear what they talk about, because I like DJ Gigabyte's channel. I think he does some really interesting videos. And then I really did like David Pearson's YouTube channel back when he was actually uploading videos during COVID. Just hearing both of their kind of stories is always interesting to me. So I think a podcast between the two of them, hopefully it's something that they keep up on a recurring basis. It's almost sounded like it was going to be something that they do regularly. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to giving that a listen to for sure.
Lord Pokesmoke has a question for Walrus directly. Why is Chicago the best place to live?
It's awful here. There's
There
crime. Yeah, don't live here. Stay out.
I didn't. Maybe I did know you were in the Chicago area. Yeah, because you drove down to Orlando, right? That's crazy.
I did a road trip. That's fun.
Crazy.
I regretted it because I didn't know the time change would happen. Like I thought we were in the same time zone, and then I lost an hour, and it's.
I'm leaning towards no, but I'm potentially going to go to the National this year. Very, very low likelihood, I think, but I will definitely hit you up if I do, because it is in Chicago, I believe.
Yeah.
You didn't go to Atlantic City, but you might go to Chicago.
I have a college friend out there who actually has like a pretty killer Pokemon collection from when he was younger. Not like anything crazy, but it's like one of those scenarios where you're randomly talking to someone about, oh yeah, I've got first edition Charizards, I've got this, that. Then you see a picture and it's like folded up unlimited Charizards. This was the first time I've ever had that pan out where somebody said, oh yeah, I've got first edition Charizards, I've got this, I've got that, all mint condition. He sent me some pictures, he sent me a video. It's not base first. It is, but he has like multiple minty in sleeve, in folder for when he was younger, dark Charizards, and he's got like a lot of other base unlimited hollows, and he's got base unlimited Charizards, all minty, which is rare. Like usually you do not see that when someone says they have good stuff from when they were younger. Usually it's all trash. PokeMartin actually has a really interesting question. I believe I have a good question. Have any of you secured financing through a bank for a house or car using your eBay as income? Can you describe how that process went and what to expect? I've never had to do it, thankfully, but expect headaches. Expect, if you have multiple years of like, you have multiple years of 1040s and like tax filings that you can show, you might have a little more luck. But I've heard people had so many issues that have only done it for a year or two or less, especially because what most people do with their businesses is they make them not make money on paper. So like, yeah, if you go to a bank and you say that I've been doing eBay for 2 years and on paper you've netted $10,000 each of those 2 years, you're going to have a massively hard time. I do know some friends, some people that I've talked to that are structured as an S corporation, where they actually have paid themselves a salary. So they pay themselves a W-2 salary. If you are structured as an S corporation and you have like a reasonable W-2 salary coming in from that, and it's gone on for multiple years, those people have had much better times, because when a bank sees a W-2 income that's been steady, that's been the same or going up over the past several years, that's what they want to see. They want to see stability in income. That said, at the end of the day, like, banks will give too much money to everyone, in my opinion. They will give way too much credit out to people. So I've heard mixed things, but overall, you'll have a better chance if you have a W-2. If you're doing it off just like 1040 Schedule C income, it'll be more difficult than if you had a regular job for sure.
Yeah, buy your house before you go full-time Pokemon. That's all I gotta say. I'm in the process of doing that eventually. And it's a lot tougher when you're self-employed than when you work for someone and get a consistent kind of income. For me anyway, I talked with someone about getting approved for a mortgage to buy a house, and my down payment definitely helped, because I have a fairly substantial amount to put as a down payment, so that definitely helped my cause. But then as far as like the loan portion, they want to see the past 5 years of your income for your business, and they'll take the average of the past 5 years and basically base your information off of that. So 5 years, especially in Pokemon, is really, really tough, because that brings you back way past the 2020 boom, like 2018, 2019 now, which for me in particular is even more tough, because back then I was working on a ship, I was doing this part-time. So there's a few years where I only have eBay income for 4 months out of the year, and I spent way more than I actually made in that time frame. So I think it's either 2018 or 2019. I actually show a loss on my taxes. So when the bank looks at that, they take that loss and factor it into the average of the 5 years. So that really hurts me right there. I think it was actually 2018, because I think that goes away this. So hopefully it'll look better for this year. But but yeah, it's a lot tougher getting any type of loan being self-employed than having an actual job where you make a consistent paycheck. But it is possible.
My eBay will just hurt my loan chances, so I just leave that out. Wouldn't like your eBay out like income be factored in when you do your taxes and all that? Or does he mean like is he full time or?
I'm not
What do you mean?
sure.
Well, like if you do it on the side,
You're
depending on how if you're like a sole proprietor, it would go in towards your income.
But gross sales don't mean anything. Like you can't show them an eBay 1099 that shows I sold $500,000 worth of Pokemon. That doesn't mean anything. Like they need to see what you actually filed on your 1040 on your sales tax or on your income tax return.
Yeah.
But they just inherently, and for good reason, they inherently don't trust it as much as like, oh, they work for a school as a teacher and they've worked there for a decade and their salary was 40,000, then 42, then 44, then 46, then 48. Like it's definitely taken into account as just a much riskier source of income because yeah, all the percentages about what percent of businesses fail, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and I'm sure them hearing, I have a Pokemon card business doesn't help, as opposed to like a fine art business or a.
And Mason actually, Cardinal Gaming has talked about how he has sought business loans. Nothing to do with a car or a house, but he has sought business loans and showed some of his financials, and he's had issues getting business loans around the time of, I think he was talking about trying to do that around the time of getting his second location opened or rehabbing one of his locations or whatever. So it's definitely just tougher in general with a non-traditional job type. Zard Lurking 92 says, question, PSA is now opening $15 bulk tier again for TCG. Yeah, shout out for anyone who's unaware. I believe late last night at some point. 15 is not a special. 15 is now open, not to the public. I believe it is. I believe it's required to have a Collectors Club account, but I could be wrong there. I think it's like the bulk tier.
Right.
Yeah, so it's the bulk tier that's only accessible if you have a membership with them. But it is open. It's not like a special. I mean, theoretically, if they were inundated, they could take it away at any point. But it is a regular tier that's open for members. Do you feel like PSA will ever do a lower special, or is $15 going to stay the sweet spot forever? I will never guarantee anything, but I am as confident as I possibly could be that we will see cheaper than 15. When? I don't really know. I would not be overly shocked if by sometime this summer we were to get $12 or $13 grading specials. That said, I would not be overly shocked if we did not. I would not be overly shocked if $15 was kind of, for the incoming few months, what we were going to see. I still think I will win my bet against James, ZNG Emporium. I do not think we will see $10 this year. I think it's slightly in my favor. I think it's slightly more than 50% chance that we won't see $10. But $12, I'm kind of expecting. That said, I'm sending out cards tomorrow for sure.
How about you, Walrus?
I guarantee 12 by summer.
Guaranteed. There we go. Let's go.
Guaranteed.
I'm up here on the fence, and Walrus is down there in the trenches, guaranteeing stuff. I like it.
It's like what their regular bulk was 18, and then the special dropped it by $3 to 15. 13 makes sense if they're taking the same profits.
Yeah, I think it's very, very likely, but I'm afraid. I'm just too afraid to use that G word. But I like Walrus throwing around the G word.
I'll do it for you, Dan.
I appreciate you.
Anything you're on the fence about, I'll just guarantee it.
I like it.
But yeah, I mean, when's National July? So by August, we'll get 12. And if not, don't send.
If not, at Walrus, take out all your frustrations on him.
It's just logical. Yeah. I don't think they would have lowered it to 15 if they couldn't handle it.
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I was gonna say the same thing. Guaranteed they go lower than 15 at some point this year. I think the same as you. We'll see 12. I've always said 12 for some reason. 13 just sounds like a bad number. I think we will see that $12-13 at some point this summer. July, August timeframe. But yeah, we will 100% see lower than 12 at some point this year. And for PSA too, they went 2 months. They went February and March offering the $15 special. They shut it off the beginning of April, and then we're 3 weeks into April, not even a month later, and they reopen it not only as a special, but now the new floor price replacing the $19 per card. That just shows that PSA saw a dramatic decrease in the amount of submissions when they went back up to 19, and they figure that they can now handle $15 being the regular price point without any type of special. So that means that people are even sending less cards at 15 than they were before when we first saw that $15 special back in I forget some late last year sometimes when they first did that. But yeah, so people are sending less cards at 15 now. So it's only a matter of time before it again to that $12-13 price range.
And I will just say, like, how vocal I am against some of the stupid things these grading companies do. I've been very happy with how PSA has been handling the past year or so. Not with all their grading standards, not with all their like first in, first out or lack of, but how they've been handling the tiers that are accessible and not allowing a backlog to build again. It's not that hard to do. It's just pretty simple math, but it does seem like they are navigating it very, very well. And I like the fact that we see a 15 come in and then go away. What it tells me is that they're monitoring how many cards are coming in. They're grading 1.2 million cards a month or whatever it is. Check out gem rate. It's pretty easy math, but a lot of people just fail to do pretty easy math in life. And they did fail to do pretty easy math when they were building a 14 million card backlog. But I am quite confident and I'm quite bullish on PSA's ability to navigate like keeping tiers open and appropriately priced moving ahead. If and when we start 2020ing all over again, I don't think we will, but if we did, and if and when PSA starts to get buried, I think they would just pull away 15 and 19 and 25 and 30 would be the lowest, or 50 would be the lowest. I'm quite confident that they will properly manage it moving ahead, which is good to see, really good to see.
Reeks had a good point too. They always do a special for the national. $12 incoming for the national. That's another good point because they have historically done specials for the national, which happens over the summer.
But those are usually sports, right?
Last year Pokemon was allowed.
Normally it has been sports. Last year they did everything.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, it would not overly surprise me, and Walrus is guarantee it, so we're in pretty good shape. It sounds like I heard Nick say 100% too, so he's guaranteeing it. I think it's like a money back guarantee too. So if 15 is the lowest open, they'll probably just send you $3 for every card you're submitting to cover the difference, if I had to guess. So just be sure to @OldSchoolPokemon, @WalrusTank on Instagram if you don't see the $12 guarantee.
I mean, people are only sending like 10 cards to make sure they get a nice grader, so it won't be a big bill.
I mean, I'll be sending 1,000. I'll be sending 1,000 cards, so I'll be looking for my 3K check. I don't know if you guys want to split that, or I'll get you my details though for payment. But anyways, C Love It wants to know, where did you all get your screen names, and if you could go back and change it, would you? Let's start with Walrus Tank on Instagram. How did you come up with Walrus Tank, and if you could go back and change it, would you?
No, it's awesome. No, and it
is awesome.
I think it was like an auto-generated one in Call of Duty or Halo. It's one of those two.
Nice.
But like whatever I was taken was just taken. Whatever I wanted was taken, so it auto-generated that for me, and there's nothing better than getting killed by a walrus with a headshot, so I just kept it.
What about you, Nick?
I like it. Good story there.
I think yours is fairly self-explanatory, but I'll let you explain it.
Me? Yeah. So I started out selling on eBay in 2009 under my dad's account, and as I kind of grew that to a point where it was starting to get difficult to figure out what I owed him for all of the fees and the shipping and all of that stuff. I decided to create my own account, and when you create an eBay store, you got to think of an eBay store name and a username and all that stuff. And I really didn't give it much thought. I was selling Pokemon cards. I was focusing at the time. I was focusing pretty much exclusively on base set. Really hadn't even branched out to Jungle Fossil, the rest of the WotC yet. So I was dealing with the old school Pokemon cards. So I kind of thought that would be a cool name. And I was in high school, so I was a cool with a K. So I had to SKOOL spelling. And I kind of figured at the time, I'm not a creative person whatsoever when it comes up to kind of coming up with names and branding and all of that stuff. So I thought to myself, let me just go with this for now, and then when I come up with something better, I'll change it at that point. And here we are. What is it? 13, 14 years later, and still haven't come up with a better name yet.
And the cease and desist still hasn't come either, so he hasn't had to change yet.
I think it's not gonna come. Like Pokemon sees the way he spells school, and they're like, feel bad for this guy.
And technically, you don't have the what do they call that? It's not a tilde, but it doesn't have the thing on the E. So I mean, technically, maybe you skate through.
A little hyphen.
I can't think of what that's called, but a tilde is over the N in the Spanish words, but I don't know. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, I am Catch 'em All Collectibles. I was for a long time, and still actively, I am Gotta Catch 'em All on E4. I wanted to do something that fit with Pokemon, and I wanted to do something that towed the line of copyright infringing / IP infringing to let people know, like to make people aware that I was involved in Pokemon. And I mean, Ash Ketchum and then Gotta Catch 'em All, so the slogan and then the main character, I kind of just combined them together, and I think I'll skirt through any kind of issues like that, especially with my new Wish Charmander, but we'll have to see. Hopefully I never get a cease and desist. Mitch McCann says it's an accent mark. Nostalgianomics question: where do you source enough cards to keep 100 cards a week rolling in for submissions? TCGPlayer, eBay, Troll and Toad. I mean, we've talked about all the different platforms. I buy wholesale product that I break to some extent, though very little of that ends up getting graded. And then collection buying. That's primarily it. 100 cards a week, obviously, depending on what you do, where you're at in your journey. If you're not full time, that sounds like a ton. But I know people doing. I know people doing 100 cards a year, and I know people doing 10,000 cards a year. It's just.
He's asking you personally, no? Like, where do you get 100 cards a week?
Yeah, I mean,
not buying them from TCG.
Recently, like I guess some of the big. No, I actually have. I started buying from TCGPlayer a little bit. I'm going to be doing that moving ahead. I just recently bought, like, not raw, but I bought graded PSA 10 Celebrations Charizards, and I was able to sell 40 in a week. The liquidity of these ultra modern cards is just like absurd, and I did that as a little bit of an experiment. I did it actually like slightly expecting to lose money. I paid way too much for them. I paid too high of an amount of money, and the prices ticked up. During the week that I sold 40 of these PSA 10s, I was selling the last one for more than I sold the first one for. Somehow the price was able to go up while I was pummeling the market with 40 of them in a week. So I'm going to start moving ahead. I mean, I've done it historically a little bit here and there. I'm going to start doing it, I wouldn't say in mass, but I'm going to start doing it on highly liquid, high pop cards. Any card that's over 10K pop, I want to grade 100 of them and sell them. I want to be in on every high pop card. A lot of people are all about the low pops. Give me the high pops. Give me 5-figure pops, because I see liquidity.
You're gross. Just taking everyone's place down.
I mean, that's not like no one owns that play. That is like very much that is just the market we live in right now. It's like put it in plastic and get some kind of a silly premium. Though some of them, like one card I will say that I did myself, I bought 100 Chinese Scarlet Violet promos sealed for like $250, $250 a piece. And I see someone has PSA 10s on eBay right now for $31.99 shipped. There's still margin. Like at $31.99 shipped, like at $29.99, you do the math, 15 for grading, and then 5 to ship it, and you only pay like you're only making $2 maybe at the end of the day. But so somehow there's still margin there. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy the 10 rates on some of these cards and the premiums they're getting. I'm just going to try to do some portion of that, and then some portion will be I bought that massive collection back in the fall, and I'm waiting for like 12, but I probably have 300 more cards to grade from that, so that's a few weeks worth of grading, and then 100 a week will be tough for me. 100 a week is kind of like ambitious for me, but that's my goal throughout the year.
Yeah, I think the same. A lot of what I have now is stuff that I should have sent off years and years ago. A lot of Shadowless bulk, first edition WotC bulk. That stuff I'm starting to slowly send off now. Like the Shadowless starters, I just sent a whole bunch of those off. And then like the gym heroes, gym challenge, Charmanders, Bulbasaurs, Pikachus, I sent all those off. But then once we get down to $12, then I'll start sending the other commons and uncommons from that stuff. And then I've recently been sending. I bought a bunch of off of someone, so I've been sending some of those in each submission. I have a bunch of the stained glass birds, so I've been sending some of those. The sketch Pikachu, the Japanese promo that came out a couple years ago, I bought a bunch of those. I did not realize how expensive those were now, so I sent those off. And then just from different collections that I buy, I'll go through a collection, put cards that I think I want to grade into one pile, and then put those into card savers, and just slowly start sending them off that way. How about you? Where are you getting all your graded cards from?
Me? I don't buy graded anymore.
Or your raw cards to grade.
I don't collect anymore, remember?
There we go.
Oh, well, you sell
Master
them.
Flipper.
Yeah. No, just like eBay looking, but it takes longer. So like my goal is to do maybe 100 cards a month. Accumulate them, I guess, and wait for the specials. But now that they have 15, it's kind of sucks. Affordable grading isn't good for everybody.
Antonio wants to know, when making a niche and/or a risky play, how much money do you allocate towards it? It's all of it. YOLO.
Everything.
Every single penny.
It really is, though. Like, it's a math problem. I try to allocate some percentage, and this isn't like implicitly done. I don't necessarily take a calculator, take a spreadsheet, and well, here's the percent chance that it pans out. But like, obviously, risky is subjective. There are risks that are like, what's the chance of hitting? Is it 1 in 100 shot of hitting, or is it a 1 in 10 shot of hitting? And if it misses, how hard does it miss? Is it like $1 million or $0? So you need to do like the mental math on basically the expected value of it. And then you need to take into account like cash flow. Otherwise, like I have a certain amount of cash flow every month, very generally. And if the upside is high enough and the downside is not like terrible, I might take like my whole month's cash flow and I might put it on one opportunity. I might take 3 months cash flow and put it on one opportunity if the upside is high enough. But it's all risk reward. It's all like, because I have some fundamental foundation of like, I have my wife bringing home the bacon with the teacher's salary, pays all our bills, and I have no debt otherwise. And yeah, it's all like, it's all an aspect of your situation, where you're at, and what the up and downsides are. That's just like way too general of a statement to say I allocate $500 towards it, $50,000 towards it. Like that, you can't just say that, right? Like it doesn't mean anything. it's all relevant to the context.
Yeah. Usually I don't like those types of risky plays. I like to have a good idea on what I'm buying. One example that I don't think I'm gonna be able to go or win anymore is probably one of the riskiest plays I would have done to date is Heritage right now is auctioning a first edition and Shadowless base set. And the pictures they have on the listing are absolutely atrocious. They have one front picture of the big three, first edition and Shadowless, and then the other two pictures are just of this wooden box that all the cards are in. So you have 6 cards out of the whatever 205, 204, whatever it is. 6 cards pictured, and it's just one single front picture. The description says everything is lightly played to mint condition. So I was gonna go for that lot. In my mind, I was planning on bidding 16,000-ish, and taking a gamble, hoping that I could get some 9s and 10s out of those cards. But it's already sitting at like 15,000. So I don't think I'm going to win that one. So I'll talk about that one.
Blow up my play. I was about to make a bid on it.
Hey, it could be a great opportunity for someone. It could also be a very bad purchase.
Yeah.
I mean, when making risky plays, though, just put in whatever you're willing to lose and never see again. And that way, with whatever you make, you'll be satisfied, I think.
It's like going to the casino. Only go with what you're willing to lose.
Obviously, like, just to give a specific example, the most recent example I had was a $48,000 collection buy of $25K was non-Pokemon and $23K was Pokemon. It was all in raw cards and binders that weren't even sleeved. Most of them weren't even sleeved. Decent bit of risk there, but adding some context. I did not intend to do it. Had it been like worst case scenario, the cards were horribly described and they were actually, because they were described as in mint condition. The seller, because of my brand, because of like me having a public facing thing, I mean, they might be listening to this now. They sent first. They sent before payment. I had the option that I could have exercised of returning them at my cost of shipping. I could have just returned them all. Hey, these are very not as described. So my risk, like in some ways it was a massive risk because I was buying $48,000 worth of cards with very few photos, just some like grainy videos of flipping through the pages, binder dinging some of the cards along the way. And then the other aspect, like it wasn't that risky at all because like worst case, I might have lost a few $100 in shipping just turning them around and lost a little bit of time. But I took that risk. I paid for the collection afterwards, and it's going to be one of the... It's a top 5 collection buy I've ever made in my entire time in the hobby. And $48,000, that's a lot of money. It's a buy that I couldn't have made 7 years ago. I wouldn't have been able to get the money together to do it. But, so yeah, as far as years ago, there were collection buys that I made too that were fairly risky, given their context, and $30,000 or $40,000 pre-boom, massive collections. It was always just like a factor of what's my upside, what's my downside, what's the math behind it, what amount do I allocate? Is it a 90% chance of going bust? Is it a 10% chance of upside? Is the upside 10, 20, 50x? You just got to do the math and then take into account like your general just cash flow situation, and it's a lot of things all at once you have to factor. But it's more like, again, it's not like pen on paper. It's not numbers in a spreadsheet. A lot of it's just based on feel, which is kind of crazy to say and think, but like doing it for so long, you get that feel kind of. Brad G Card says, question, how long until FOMO sets in for Dan and he buys its plane tickets to Long Beach? Unfortunately, I will not be attending Long Beach, but I'm sure you guys will have a blast. I will be at Dallas in a couple weeks, which I'm really excited for. And I will be at Charlotte, and then potentially Houston at the end of the year. What about you guys? What collecticons are you guys?
When did this come up? I didn't know about Houston.
I've been saying potentially Houston for a little while now. If I keep saying potentially, it'll just turn into a definite. So I keep saying it, and we'll see. But yeah, if you guys want to let everyone know what your intended schedules are for Collecticons for this year, since I shared mine.
So I'm planning to do 5 this year. We did Orlando, obviously. I'm in Dallas, obviously. Then next one I'll be doing is Long Beach, Charlotte shortly after that, and then Houston in November. So 5 total for this year. I'm really curious to know how it's going to pan out with Long Beach and Charlotte being so close together. They're not even a month apart. So that's gonna kind of let me know how future Collecticons will go, and if I can kind of start to handle doing more of them, because there's a lot of like prep work and breakdown work on either side of Collecticons. They're an absolute blast. Make a good bit going there to vend, but it's a lot of work.
You're only skipping what, 2?
I'm not doing Kansas, and I'm not doing
Denver.
Denver. Yeah, so it's 2. Yeah, yep.
Might as well just do them.
Might as well go big.
What? Yeah, like what?
You are a full timer, Nick.
Charlotte, yeah.
I know. Got a family vacation for Kansas, so have to skip that one. Denver, I don't have any excuse aside from I wasn't a big fan of the area in Denver.
Oh, you just don't like Swami?
Oh, going to see Swami's house, and yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Swami's.
We've got a formal beef going on between old school Pokemon and Swami. Here it is. Here's the drama you all want.
I know
to have drama with another PokeTuber, not Nick.
Oh man.
But no, I thought for Denver, I didn't like how far away the hotel was from the convention center. There was a lot of homeless people in Denver, and walking by them with all your stuff was sketchy. And then the whole sales tax thing was a complete pain in the butt. For those of you who don't know, we had to get a weekend-long sales tax certificate for Denver, and because I booked the tables, I had to do that and kind of take care of that at the end of this year. And just adding any tax things, I can't stand it. I would rather keep all that off the books.
Oh God. Oh man. At IRS, at FBI. Oh man. That's funny. Antonio asks, question for Dan. I don't know why I'm being singled out here, but which TCG has the best waifus? I'm not much of a waifu guy. I will say that collection that I bought, that massive collection that I bought, I don't even know what the TCGs are, but man, like there are some explicit cards out there. There are some there are some cards out there that are not safe for YouTube, not safe for eBay. I don't know how I'm gonna offload them, but
just pick them, Dan. Which one has the best waifus?
I'm not into that. I'm not not into it.
It's not an admission of you being into it. It's just, hey, this is good stuff.
No, there's none of them are good stuff for me. I'm not gonna expound upon that because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or be mean in any way. But yeah, it's just not for me, I guess is what I'll say. I'll leave it there. What about you? You guys have any go-to TCGs for your waifu needs?
If I wasn't to waifus, Weiss has a lot.
Weiss.
Like the filth on those cards.
Oh, I do actually have. I just got my first Weiss card in on consignment. Nick and Walrus won't see it for like a minute or so, but this one's. I would say this one's like tasteful. I have some from that collection that are not very tasteful at all. I don't know if Weiss gets into the distasteful ones, but this one I don't feel weird like looking at or owning on consignment. Well, not owning, but doing it on consignment. some of them are a little bit more not safe for YouTube, not safe for eBay. I don't want to get categorized into the adult section on eBay. I do believe there is one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're gonna have to list them in the adult section.
Yeah. I don't want to go through getting categorized into there, so it's not. Yeah, that's not the brand. Wish Charmander's eyes, Quaxley's eyes, do not want to see that stuff. I'm trying to. I mean, look at this. Look at these innocent eyes I've got behind me, looking over my shoulder every day while I'm working. I can't be having that smut. Oh man, that's funny.
Oh, way too many clothes.
That makes me think. James ZNG Emporium, he was going through his live unboxing of his consignments, and he was looking at a photo on one, and he was trying to figure out like what position the waifu was in, I think, and he's like, I thought that was her back, but that is a butt. Just the way she was like, I think I clipped it. I forget if I clipped it or if I just quoted it in Discord, but it's like, that is a butt. That was funny. Oh man. Brad G cards.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead on the waifus.
I don't understand the whole waifu thing. That is something I will never understand. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Check out my eBay though. I do have that one card on consignment if you're interested. So Raji Card says, when are they going to do in-person same/next day grading at Collecticon? I see him do it at sports card shows all the time. I don't believe yet that PSA has done any same day. Have they at Collecticon? I will say, I mean, I've
Not
never
for cards, just for autos and Funko Pops.
Oh, okay. So they do a little bit for autos and Funko Pops apparently, but AGS is at all Collecticons, and I think they offer it. I've never utilized their service. I don't think I ever will, but there are some grading companies on site that do grade. I don't believe like BGS or CGC or PSA, the big three, I don't believe they ever have. Hopefully someday they will. It will not be cheap though. Like if they ever do, it's a supply and demand thing. They only have like a very small amount of time, and yeah, it would be minimum. It would be 150 or 300 a card, I would think, to get same day grading done. Usually at the National when they do it, I believe that's about when it is, and I think it like sells out quickly too. Like I think they take them in for the first couple hours and then they're shut down for the rest of the weekend. But that would be cool to have the option.
I don't know. I don't know if there would be much of a benefit for on-site grading at Collecticon. I think it would be cool to have it, but I don't think there would be that like a drastic benefit if they did offer that. And then plus on PSA's end, it must be so hard to kind of pack everything and bring everything to grade a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 in one weekend. I don't know. I can't see it being worth it for on PSA's end to make that money, and then on Collecticon's end, would they notice? Would it be that beneficial for Collecticon to offer PSA with on-site grading? I don't know if it would. I don't know. It'd be interesting to have, but I don't know if we will ever have it.
Would they have to pay more if they did on-site grading at Collecticon, like to the organizers?
I think they would need
no idea how
they
it
would need
work.
more space. I don't know if they physically do it like at the National. I don't know if they have some backstage area where they are doing the physical grading, or if they do it in their island, in their booth, because I would imagine they would want that all like they wouldn't want people physically seeing that, or is the grading done overnight in between? I don't know functionally how it works. But yeah, they would need a lot of space, I would think, to have like an enclosed room that no one could see in, because they don't want videos of like someone trying to reach up and record down through the curtains on the actual grading process taking place. They would need some space to do that where it was like kept away from the public eye. I'm actually interested now. I've never really thought about it. But yeah, I don't know what they do at the National, if they have like a separate room somewhere where they take cards to and they grade them. But anyways, it would be expensive because it would probably be a lot of fuss to go through to justify. And yeah, some small finite amount of supply that they would have available, like how many cards they could churn through in that single weekend. So it would be pretty expensive. Eric Drinks Water wants to know, do you guys have your team of 6, especially when Dan is historically bullish on sitting cuties? I don't know if he's talking about like what we used to play for our team of 6 in video games. I'm assuming that's what he means.
These video game questions.
I think back in yellow, my team of 6 would have been like the Pikachu I probably kept. I don't know. I think I did trade off the Pikachu for Zapdos. I always tried to have a pretty good balanced team. I wasn't someone who like power leveled one Pokemon and then had the rest like substantially lower. I leveled them pretty equally. But I like Zapdos a lot, so I would have Zapdos as my electric guy. I really liked Dragonite quite a bit. I like Gengar. So probably Zapdos, Gengar, Dragonite. And then I probably have like a Charizard.
You had a link cable?
Oh, yeah. I used to trade on the bus with people. Yeah, for sure. At one point, I had a Mew. We tried doing the glitch thing and to clone it where you pull the cable at the right time. I think we like cloned the wrong one, erased the Mew. I have some vague memories of things like that from back on the school bus. But who else was in it? I mixed it up. Like Crystal, I played a lot of time too. I really loved Tyranitar and Crystal. I probably ran Suicune for a while. It changed because I played through the games multiple times each. I definitely switched it up each time that I played through, and I was always trying to diversify a little bit, have one of each type, and those were some of my favorites. What about you guys?
You can go ahead.
Pidgeot for sure. I remember I just caught that Pidgey Route 1. Took Pidgeot all the way. Dragonite. I always kept Pikachu in yellow because you could talk to him. I used to like Nidoking a lot. He was stupid weak though. And then in yellow, I don't think you can catch Arcanine. So I never had him, but I always wanted him.
Arcanine's a solid fire choice.
As a kid.
Yeah.
For me, I never played the Pokemon games. I was a deprived child.
Oh, Eric,
it was always just the anime and then the actual cards.
Eric Drinks Water clarified the question and just said your favorite 6 Pokemon in the community. I'm terrible with favorites, but some of my favorites you see behind me. I really like Haunter and Gengar. Not a big fan of Ghastly, but I probably like Haunter the best out of that evolution line. But yeah, Dragonite, Pikachu, Quaxly, Charmander, Haunter, Gengar's up there. Zapdos I really like. Articuno. Not a big fan of Moltres, but those are like a handful of my favorites. So I guess your 6 favorite Pokemon in general.
So for that, my number 1 would be Squirtle. Number 2 would be Blastoise, and then after that, it would get tough for me. Dragonite would actually be number 3. I like Dragonite a lot, and then Pikachu would be on there. Probably Gyarados too. I like Gyarados, and then what would be a good 6th one? Maybe probably Arcanine too.
No Ninetales?
No, Ninetales wouldn't be on there. I'm not a fan of Ninetales as a Pokemon. It's just the no damage Ninetales that I'm.
He just likes pacifist Ninetales.
Just sees the money signs. I like Mimikyu a lot. I think Greninja's really cool. Dragonite, like Salamence, Tyranitar was really nice in the show.
Guitar's awesome.
And I do like Pikachu. I think Pikachu is really cool. That's mine.
Garen M.
Solid choices there. I don't know if I agree with the Greninja choice, but
I really do like Greninja too.
It can all be perfect.
No one else ever played it that I've talked to really, but Pokemon Duel was a thing on mobile for a couple years, and I loved that game. It was actually, for anyone who's aware of the TFG, the trading figure game, it was basically just the trading figure game in mobile app form. I loved that game, and I had a Greninja on there. Greninja was a monster with that big, it was water shuriken attack. It was a big gold attack. Most people have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you played Pokemon Duel, those gold attacks that could hit for more than once, those were solid.
Because Greninja's in Smash Brothers too, and he's pretty solid.
Yep, Greninja's in there. Lucario, my son actually loves Lucario. I always had a decent fondness for Lucario, and then again in Pokemon Duel, I really liked Lucario in that game, and now my son loves him, so Lucario is really fast rising up my ranks as well. Garen M says, grading is all speculation and at the mercy of the grader, but when you guys pre-grade at home, if the card is centered and has no scratches, what is your allowance on the back? Again, the answer is never like just one given answer. It's always dependent. If the card is extremely valuable, I'm going to grade it whether it's a 9 or a 10, I don't care. If the card, I have 100 copies of it and it needs to be a 10, I have like no allowance for any white specks, but there are so many 10s that have white specks that have small surface scratches. So my allowance is more as a function of the value, and my allowance is less as a function of how punishing a 9 is. Some cards, you get a 9, you may as well just crack it out and sell it raw because there's no, rightfully so. Some cards it's 10 or bust, and that's the way it should be. So yeah, my allowances are proportional to like how punishing a 9 is. And then some cards you just grade regardless of condition. So base set first edition Charizard, I'm sending that along the entire spectrum, regardless of what it is. Same with like crystals and gold stars and shinings, things like that. So anything to add on what you guys look for?
I think we, being in the hobby, are way more critical than PSA. Like I've not sent cards because I was like, no, that's not going to get a 10. And then I eventually send it and they come back 10s. Like, yeah, we're so much more critical.
You look at your cards way more than PSA does. Yeah, the grader will look at it for a few seconds, and a lot of people scrutinize their cards for like 10 minutes, and a little bit of that goes into like the whole analysis paralysis. Like send it and find out, and then add that into your memory bank, add that into like your experience, and get a feel for what you're going to get in the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say that same thing, that we spend way more time looking at cards than PSA actually spends looking at them to determine the grade. So yeah, for me it would be grade home card is centered. Yeah, it would modern. So like for modern stuff, for me at least, especially nowadays, I like to make the card look as perfect as possible to send it in, because usually for modern,
you like to make it? What chemicals are you using?
Yeah. No, I want to look at it and make sure that it's a 10 before submitting it, because at least for modern, it's basically you're breaking even, losing a little bit of money on 9, and then making money on. So with modern stuff in particular, I do try and be careful and only send what I think is going to get 10s. And I probably miss a few cards that would get 10s, because especially with how PSA has been lately with their strictness, I don't. I'll allow for like a speck of whiteness, but I'm probably overly harsh on any modern cards. Centering has to be basically spot on. A speck of whiteness, if there's any more than that, I'm lenient on sending it in, unless it's like a high-end alt art or something like that. But you're kind of like bulkier cards. Those ones where the 10s are like between $50 and $100. I am very particular about what I'm sending on.
Yeah, like when I'm dealing with a Scarlet Violet 1 Chinese promo that I have 100 of them that I paid $250 for, I am only sending like immaculate cards for that. I do not want a 9. 10s are $32. I had an expectation that they'd be about $40 to $50, but that's lower than I expected, and I knew that 9s would be punishing when I went into it. When you're grading a card that's $1 or $2, you kind of need a 10 because a lot of other people are going to be grading it too. So I do just want to highlight this message quick and say TC Genius X says the whole Wolfie Collects story was not the actual account of what happened at all. LOL. When I addressed it, when I tried answering it, I didn't try saying like I side with Wolfie, I side with the buyer. I tried saying assuming this is true, assuming, because there's always 3 sides to every story. There's perspective A, perspective B, the 2 people inside of it, and then there's like what actually happened. Even without people trying to lie, or everyone perceives things differently, and yeah, like no one except for those 2 parties will know exactly what happened and how. And I hate talking about people like when they're not present, behind their back, whatever. That's why being on the fence at times, especially when you don't have all the details, is the appropriate way to go. If this, then that, whatever. But I did just want to highlight that because I don't think anyone knows for sure exactly what happened. But we did talk through our theoreticals, and I think people have an idea of where we all come from on that. Your average player says, if you were to start an LGS, what would you do to separate you from the competition? I'm going to opt out of this question because I will never start an LGS.
Make it a bar.
Make it a bar. There you go.
What'd you say?
Make it a bar.
What'd you say?
Alcohol. Make it a bar.
Oh, well, there we go. I'll be a regular customer in that case.
The issue, like I've heard a lot of people talk about making it a bar. I think, shout out Echo Base Collectibles, I think he's talked about making it like a gym. I think that there's interesting ideas. Like it's an interesting idea, but one thing that you run the risk of is like there might be patrons in your area that want a gym or that want a bar, and there might be patrons in your area that want an LGS, but there might be people in each of those, like on that Venn diagram. You're forcing yourself into the small part of the Venn diagram, the overlap, whereas you might be alienating some in the larger portions of the Venn diagram that don't intersect. You know what I'm saying? You almost pin yourself down to being like a niche of the niche of your community base, and done well, executed well, I'm sure something like that could actually work really well. But I think you might almost pin yourself down to like, and maybe that's because I live in the woods and I just don't have enough people around for something so specific, but in a big city it probably could be done well and it probably could be successful. So that might be just me working with like where I live.
For me, I've always liked the idea of having a physical store. I'll never do it. Probably won't ever do it because there's so many more costs involved with having an actual store than just doing things online. But to have one and set yourself apart, I think I would honestly follow a lot of what he does. I think he's doing a lot of things right when it comes to having a lot of inventory out and kind of the cases being well stocked all of the time, having an inventory system where you know exactly how many of every single bulk card that you have available to make those types of purchases easier for people, and then keeping your pricing up to date. Having a clean and well organized store is a big one. We used to have one LGS in my area. And it was I liked it because I was able to get some good deals there back when I was first starting out, but I never really liked the feel of it because it always looked like an absolute mess. There was just stuff everywhere there. They wouldn't update their pricing whatsoever, so some stuff was really underpriced, which worked in my favor. But then again, some stuff was way overpriced at the same time. And so I never really liked the feeling of that. So if it was me, I would kind of follow in Mason's and do things similar to him. I could never offer a play section though. I would never want to do that. It would be an exclusively buying, selling, trading. just because I have no idea how to play the game. I would like to learn at some point, but I don't have that much interest in it, so probably wouldn't do anything with that.
I was gonna make a joke on you and say that to separate himself from the competition, Nick would copy Mason. But then you went and said that you wouldn't have play, which honestly is like a unique thing that I think would separate you from the competition. I think some IPs actually require some. Maybe they don't require it. Maybe that's too strong of a word. But I think a lot of TCGs really give extra benefit, give extra allocation to stores that support their play network, right? Because like that's a lot of the thing behind it. But yeah, when you say that you wouldn't have any play, that is actually like answering the question more appropriate than just copying Mason, because that would distinguish you from a lot of the competition, catering yourself more to like to collectors than players.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's twofold. One, like I said, I don't know. I enjoy buying, selling, collecting way more than I do playing. And then the second part of that is just a space issue. If you have a Play Store, you need a lot more space. Whereas if you just have a store where you're buying and selling, you can get a smaller space, or you could get a bigger space and have more area to put stuff out for sale. Having tables set up and chairs and all of that stuff takes up a lot of space.
Danazard TCG had a question for us. Again, I always appreciate the big stop sign so that I can catch the questions in the chat. Looking at a fairly large collection next week, how deep would you go in condition review prior to assuming the condition the seller listed is accurate/inaccurate? I'll let you take this one first, Nick, because I take most of them first.
So I've kind of learned over the years how to do things, at least for me personally, a good system that worked. First off, so like get in touch with the seller, start talking to them, ask them, okay, what's the average condition of the collection look like? They'll say light played and near mint. And then your response to that will be, okay, can I see pictures of these, depending on like how big the collection is. Can I see pictures of these 4 or 5 cards, whatever? And I'll always pick like the higher end cards. So if I'm looking at a base set, for example, I'll ask for pictures. Can I see the Blastoise, Charizard, and Venusaur? Send front and back pictures of those 3 cards. And then he'll send those pictures right there, and I'll take a look at them. If they're light play near mint, like he originally said, I'll kind of take his word that he knows what he's talking about. I guess he or she knows what they're talking about. And base my offer around that the condition of the cards is going to be light play near mint. If he takes those pictures and the cards are absolutely immaculate, like mint condition, then I'll kind of take that and say, okay, maybe the conditions on these cards is going to be a little bit better. Might offer a little in that case. Or on the flip side, if the condition is like damaged, heavily played, then in that case I'll offer way less than what I would originally offer. So it kind of comes down to like how well the individual that you're working with actually knows pricing on their cards. Can you guys hear me all right?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've noticed a couple like tiny cuts, but yeah, I saw somebody in chat. I did catch a couple poking fun, but overall seems pretty good. What about you,
Okay.
Walrus? Have you done any big? You don't buy any big collections like that? You mostly buy singles?
Well, I bought like a Digimon collection and stuff like that, but yeah, it's basically the same thing. Like, you want to review the big cards, since essentially, if when you're buying a collection, you're buying them for the hits. Everything else is extra. So just review the hits, the thing that's going to make up the bulk of the money spent, and everything else is just added gravy, in my point of view.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think you guys covered it pretty well. Pick out some amount, pick out 10 cards at random or whatever, relative to the size of the collection. For example, with that collection that I bought this fall, that massive binder collection that I was talking about, that was 25,000 cards. I think I only inspected maybe 20 cards or so with additional photos. and that was the highest tier. Like there were probably 50 cards in that collection that made up half the value of what I paid, something along those lines. And I just picked a few in Pokemon, a few in Dragon Ball, a few in Naruto, and I tried getting a better idea of those individually, and then I went for it. Again, a little bit of a different circumstance, but I had the opportunity to inspect in person, and it sounds like Danazard actually does too, reviewing them in person. I mean, if they're super time crunched and they're trying to get you to just, hey, or hand over the money, here's the stuff, let's get out of here. I would, like, depending on by feel, I would kind of feel the seller out, and if they're trying to like be pushy and get it you to take it, I'd look at more cards if they were giving me those kind of vibes. But yeah. Professor Birch.
To add to that too,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, to add to that, like, be aware of what grading company you're going to use too. So like a ding or a dent might not be that big of a deal to Beckett or CGC if you're planning to use them on some specific TCGs. But if you're going PSA, and that's going to be a 6, know the value you're going to get when it's graded too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like centering's more of a big deal generally at BGS or CGC, though I've seen some black labels that it's like, that centering, generally speaking, a little bit off center, you're going to get hit with like that 9.5 or 9 on centering at BGS or CGC, and then PSA will still 10 them. But I've seen it go the other way too. But yeah, definitely be taking into account where you're going to grade them. Very good point. Professor Birch says, what's your guys' thoughts on selling playsets of modern cards? Do you have any strategies or success with selling playsets instead of singles? I'll let you take this one first again, Nick.
Well, man, 2 in a row. So for me, actually, hold on one second. So for me, I've tried doing both. I've tried listing things as playsets. I've tried doing individual cards. And for personally, what I think works the best is individual cards. And the reason why I think that is because, so say you're looking for whatever card. The way I would search that card is type in the card name, sort on eBay, type in the card name, sort lowest price to highest price. And so if I'm listing a playset of that card, my price is going to be higher than everyone else who's selling individual copies of the card. Unless I type in 4 times whatever name of the card there. So that's one reason. And then the other thing that I like to do is sell the individual cards, be competitive with the low price of whatever other people are selling them for on eBay, and then also offer multi-quantity discounts. So if you purchase 2 copies, you get X% off. I usually do. If you purchase two copies, you get 10% off. 3 copies, you get 20% off. 4 or more copies, you get 25%. That's kind of how I set up all of my listings. And then recently, I also started doing something similar, where if you purchase different cards, you can get those same type of discounts. Obviously, on like more expensive stuff, it's a lower of a discount, but on cheap things, it's that same 10, 20, 25% off, and that's actually been working out really, really well for me. I tried it a month ago, and then I renewed it for basically indefinitely because it's been working out really well for me. So that's definitely something I'm going to continue doing. But combine that with the multi-quantity discounts of just that one single card. It won't be something where people can use both of the discounts. It'll be one or the other. But just having that option where people can see, hey, if I purchase more copies of this one card, I can get such and such a price. That's how I go about it, and I think I've sold more of those single cards than I do play sets. So for me, it works better selling the individual cards.
For those listings, are you doing your own scans and pictures, or just taking stock photos?
So I never did the whole, I forget the name of the website, but whatever website has pictures of every
PKMNcards.com.
Yes. I've never used those pictures. I would always take pictures of one copy that I had, get it listed on eBay, And then I switched to the flatbed scanner, and I would scan all the cards. And then just recently, another thing that I should do a YouTube video on, because I had a lot of people reach out when I posted it on Instagram.
You gotta stop with these YouTube promises, dude. You've already promised
Yeah.
like 6 videos during this, and
Nick,
we're gonna get none of it.
They'll come at some point.
we will get 0 of them.
I actually bought a scanner that it's a feeder scanner that it's meant for like pictures back in the day when you developed film. It's meant to digitalize those types of pictures, but it works really good for single cards. So I'll load a stack of like 30 cards into the scanner, hit scan, and it'll feed all 30 cards through. Auto cropping, so that you're just seeing the image of the card, and then you can set it up to simultaneously scan front and back just to the front. So that's been a game changer recently. It cuts the time that I'm spending scanning way down. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I told you when you posted that story, that looks like a YouTube video, and I've been waiting for it. I've got the bell rung, I've subscribed, I've done everything I'm supposed to do, and you've not done what you're supposed to do.
Oh,
You gotta get on that. I don't really have anything to add to that. I think Nick covered it well. I didn't take my earbud with me when I left screen for a little bit there, so I didn't hear the whole answer, but I'm sure it was great. Quantity discounts are really nice. One thing that I say, like in general, that applies here a little bit though, that I'll just add that maybe Nick covered. Cards almost never are better sold as a lot. I think a lot of times people will tend to lot things up. If someone wants 4, like when you list something as a playset, you are only catering to those who want 4 or more. If you list it as 1 with a quantity discount built in, you can give the people who want 4 a quantity discount, and you can give the people that want 1, kind of like that whole Venn diagram thing. Almost like you're getting the buyers that want 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more. You're not alienating those that only want 1, 2, or 3. And you are giving the discount to the people who want more. So you're kind of like best of both worlds, in my opinion. Selling 1 at a time, 1 in a listing, and then just giving them the option to save money as they go up in quantity.
I actually said the complete opposite, Dan.
Yeah.
No, I said the same thing.
Yeah, that's the way to go. That's the way to be. Zard Lurking said, question, do you all ever buy into a live box break like PokeRev, TCA Gaming, etc.? And if you buy in, do you do it under a different name anonymously? I don't think I've ever bought into Rusty's. I definitely never bought into PokeRevs. Back during the pandemic, I was buying a little bit on Whatnot. I was buying into like Pokemon Radar. Did a few different box breaks that I bought into. I can't think of other ones specifically, but there were some Whatnot ones that I bought into here and there. I bought into one of ZNG Emporium's back during the pandemic. I think he did like a Rocket box break that I bought into. Generally speaking, though, I'm not trying to do that too much. I mean, I have access to all this product myself now, more so, and generally speaking, I want to be the one selling the pack more. Selling the packs is plus EV. Buying the packs is minus EV. What about you, Walrus? Have you ever patronized either of those gentlemen's box breaks?
No, I'm not fancy. Dan's taking my box break money now. I've been trying to get Nick to do it, but the guy's just like, he refuses.
Take my money. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
And he says no.
He hates ripping for other people. He wants to list the singles.
Yes, I like creating more work for myself. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever done a live, or no, I have done one on Whatnot. But I don't do very many live box breaks. Very rarely will I do something like that. And my thing is, I would rather open the pack myself than have someone else open it for me. So for me, I usually like to open a WotC pack at CollectCon. I didn't do that for Orlando, which I was bummed about. So Dallas, I'll definitely have to get something off of someone and open it there.
I know someone who just sourced a couple boxes before this stream.
Well, I want a Gym Challenger Neo first edition heavy.
Damn it. I didn't get those. I got Fossil and Base. Come on. There's still time. There's still time. You cut out a little bit. What Neo box are you after?
Neo Genesis.
Neo Genesis first edition. Oof. That's spendy. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. No. Neo Genesis I think would be the ideal. I've opened Destiny. I've opened Revelation. I don't really have any interest in Discovery. So I think Genesis is the next one for me.
Hermit Man 1 question: do you guys have people that linger by your table at the cons? If so, what do you do? It just makes me think of all the trade up challenges. I saw some vendors had signs that just explicitly said no trade up challenges, like no loitering, buy something from me or get the hell out of here. It's kind of a weird thing. Like I did have a couple times where people would open up their binders. Basically, people would be looking at my cases and, hey, will you take this for that? Will you take this for that? If I'm dealing with them directly, that's fine. Like I'm trying to do business and they're showing me their cards. Like you probably do lose a sale here or there because a binder's spread over a card that someone passes by and they just don't see the card they would have bought. But there was one or two times where I had two potential customers of me didn't end up buying from me, but they talked to each other and then they were showing each other their binders. Thankfully, right across from me, it was like the back end of someone's section who wasn't using those tables. So there was a couple times where I just said, hey, you guys are kind of covering some of my stuff. Could you just move over to that empty table there? And everyone was like really, really good with that. And it can be awkward though, like if people try to hog your space and you lose sales because of it. So thankfully to me last time, I'm just like, yeah, can you take the binders over to the vacant space? And it worked out. If and when there wasn't vacant space and if and when they were like rude and, oh no, I'm going to be here. Like that would be an awkward interaction that thankfully I didn't have to deal with. But did you guys run into anything like that?
I brought trash. Nobody wanted to be by my table. So.
Walrus was lonely. Please linger at his table.
He was talking to me, so it was sad. No, the good thing about being with Nick is like you can just send him over to his table for any like trade up challenges or anything.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And like, hey, you got some good stuff.
Oh yeah. You got some
PSA for postage stamp Pikachu.
Pop one, baby.
When he said so, there was a guy that came and he had the collection. It was the stamp promo, right? The Pikachu.
Yeah, the Pikachu and then the bird, whatever that was called.
It was a PSA 4, but he goes on to this long story about how it's special, it's unique, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's like a test print, something unique. It's like it's a Pop 1 PSA 4. That's what made it special. I'm like, here you go, Nick, I'm out, and I just walked away. Like, ridiculous.
And he was completely legitimate about that too. Like he would have definitely wanted a premium for his PSA 4 copy because it was a Pop 1.
PSA 4 is hard to replicate. I mean, come on.
That guy's watching right now. You are a bastard.
Should have sent him right over to you, Dan. Yeah, no. Normally people are really good about kind of what's the word? I don't know, like recognizing your space and not filling your table with their binders. So that's a good thing. Normally really an issue. Occasionally you'll get some people who they'll like meet up at your table and start talking and showing each other cards, and Depending on the day and the time, like if it's like Sunday afternoon, really slow, there's nobody else around, I won't say anything at that point. But like anytime Saturday, Sunday morning, when it actually is busy and there's people walking around and looking at stuff, then I'll ask them, hey, can you guys move your stuff and get the hell out of my area? But no, just be nice about it. Just ask, hey, can you guys move somewhere else? Everyone's really good about it. I've never ran into an issue where someone gets pissed that I ask them to move or whatever. Yeah, no, definitely important to kind of keep your area clear. Because ultimately you're there to make money. So you want people who are actually spending money to be able to look at your stuff.
Ray says, at Mr. Walrus at Old School Pokemon, question, what is it like being the worst? Any recommendations on how to get to being the worst? Thanks, Ray, for the very nice question.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't include you in that one.
He needs a friend to get on the podcast. He's siding with Dan. Like,
wow.
Anyways, next actual question. CC Republic says, when grading Ultra Modern, how do you determine which level to send at to get the best of both turnaround time and grading cost? PSA abides by FIFO, first in, first out, to most of us, but I've always joked it's first in, F off is how they define FIFO. So you need to be careful because you might get FIFO'd if you try to pay too much for a higher level. I was going to make a video out of it, but I didn't get enough gradable copies. But when I was making the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection play, I was going to try to get like 8 cards of each to send at 100 and to send at 50 and to send at 25, whatever the exact numbers were, I forget. But it's going to depend on your luck. It's going to depend on if you get FIFO'd or not. And it's going to depend on how many other people are making the play. If theoretically PSA did use first in, first out, it would make sense to go to the higher tiers to get the absolute first to market to get that absurd premium that often happens. But it comes down to risk tolerance. And depending on the day, you might send it 50, someone might send it 25, and they might beat you because that's just the way PSA is. So yeah, it's just a function of like risk tolerance and luck, essentially.
I mean, with Ultra Modern too, you have to realize how many people got the product way before you and already sent before you even opened your boxes.
Yep. Yeah, if you're competing against a store that had a pre-release and they were opening product 3 weeks before, sometimes a month before, if some of the Millennium Print Group employees have been pocketing cards out from 6 months prior and they're ready to send the day that PSA allows them to, definitely know your competition.
But I think like the 50 tier I found to be the sweet spot. I think, Nick, you sent your UPC Charizards at 100, right?
Yeah. My first few I did send at 100.
And we sent them at the same time, and I sent at 50, and I think you only beat me by less than a week or something.
Yep. It was not worth it. I will tell you that. But yeah, usually I just do the bulk tier. Especially now that PSA is 2-3 months for turnaround times. Now that we're getting back to normal, that's what I did. I recently did that for Crown Zenith. I guess I have a little bit of a head start because I got my Crown Zenith the Monday or Tuesday before release, and I opened everything and I mailed everything off on the Thursday before release. So a little bit of a head start compared to most people. But I just mailed them the bulk tier. They came back in two-ish months, and I was still one of not the first person to have them listed on eBay, but there weren't many listed on eBay when I actually listed mine, and I was able to take advantage of those high prices before I had to lower my prices by like 50% on a lot of them. So I think for the most part, I would just do the bulk tier, and then anything like really high end, like maybe I should have done it with the gold cards from Crown Zenith, or if I opened Evolving Skies with the Moonbryon, stuff like that. Probably agreed with him. Go with the $50 tier. I don't know if I would go above that again. Like the Charizard UPCs, I did the $100 tier. I don't think that's worth it whatsoever.
Yeah. I forget exactly the details behind it, and I never made a video because I didn't have a big enough sample size. But I want to say I sent them in the same box, and my like $40 was only a day later than my $100 $70. I forget the exact numbers, but it was pretty crazy. Like it was not worthwhile to go as high as I did with some of those. And end of the day, like I still made out fine. I still got enough tens that I didn't make a ton of money on it, but I still like made more money than I should have probably. Kiwi0 says, I'm in Canada and I've noticed there are less and less people selling on eBay and more people selling on Facebook Marketplace. Do you find a similar trend happening where you're at? You guys are in big cities, so I'll let you go. You start, Mr. Walrus.
I don't have a Facebook.
Oh, there you go.
What? You don't even have a Facebook?
No.
I don't use mine, so
you're slacking over there.
Are you using it for personal or just Pokemon?
I only use it for Pokemon.
I don't use it for personal at all. For Pokemon though, I'm on there every day, looking in the different groups.
My thing is, if I hate dealing with people on eBay and messages, I can't imagine Facebook. Especially if it's like a public forum where more people can comment.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely true.
And you've got to tie it to like...
There is a lot of toxicity in the Facebook groups.
And you've got to tie it to your real...
lot of stupid people.
Yeah. You're tying it to your actual name too, and not like just YouTube, eBay, whatever. Username.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever move into it. I'll let Nick get all those juicy sales or purchases.
Yeah, for me, like the actual Facebook Marketplace, like the local listings, like OfferUp, LetGo apps. I've never had luck with any of that stuff. I check them occasionally, and everything that gets posted around me is absolute garbage. I've never been able to buy like a Facebook Marketplace, a Craigslist, OfferUp, Let's Go. Nothing like really worthwhile. Back in the day, I used to pick up a few of those, but nothing spectacular. But the Facebook groups picked up. I've been able to buy a lot of stuff off of the different groups, and that's probably where I buy a majority of the collections that I buy nowadays is just from the Facebook groups. So yeah, I've actually noticed kind of the opposite as you, where I've been noticing less people selling collections recently on there than more people. I don't know, maybe just the timing right now, because it's only been the past month or so that I've really noticed it. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on that one.
And I don't have anything to add. I used to get some hits here and there on Craigslist, but I look on like Burbank, but I don't look locally on Facebook Marketplace ever. I've never really. Occasionally I'll have a friend or like an old coworker send me, hey, I see this posted local to us, and it's never been anything good the past few years. Eric Drinks Water wants to know from Mr. Walrus, a question I'm sure you've never heard before. How do you feel about Walrein? And is he the inspiration for your facial hair?
Walrein doesn't have facial hair, does he?
He's a walrus, so he probably has some something going on there. Thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, Mr. Walrus. I mean, he's been around longer than Walrein, so. What is he, Gen 4, Gen 5? You're older than that, so... Walrein's stealing Mr. Walrus's look.
That could be true.
Pokin Fun says, is having an eBay account the same as an eBay store? If not, what's the difference, pros and cons? So an eBay store is something you actually pay like a fee for. You can pay it on a monthly basis or on an annual basis. I pay on an annual basis just because it's cheaper. You get some additional features. I can't even remember exactly what. I think you get more freedom to have like a banner and have different things on your actual landing page. But it's mostly a dollars and cents things. There are calculators out there. Google like eBay store fee calculator put in how many listings you do per month, put in how many sales you make, what the average sale price is. It'll tell you the optimal thing, because I think without a store you pay 13%, 13.3% final value fee, and with a store you pay 12.3% final value fee, something right around there. So it's just a matter of if the 1% savings in final value fees will be plus EV to you. It all comes down to if you sell enough to make that justified. And me personally, I do, and I have I've had an eBay store for like longer than I've been in Pokemon. I had it with coins, with Steins, with video games prior. So I've had an eBay store for probably like 15 years now.
And you recently got an eBay store, didn't you, Mr. Walrus?
Yeah, because you told me to. I don't know what the benefit is.
Oh, listening to the voice of reason. I like it. I like it.
You told me to do it, what tier to get, and then I did it.
Smart man right there.
I think the final value fee is a small percentage. It's not, I mean, it's noticeable in volume, I think.
I think it's about 1%. I think I used to pay for the $60 a month. I think I'm only paying for the 20 or 25-ish now, because I didn't have enough. You get more free listings the higher you go, but at the end of the day, like it wasn't, the dollars and cents weren't making sense at the 60 for me personally. And I have 2,500 listings. I think you might need to be more like 5K listings to make it make sense to have the 60. I would need to look at it again, but I don't pay enough attention as I should.
Yeah, it's tricky with the like, you have the basic store, I have the premium store, the $60 a month one, and right now it's not worth having the premium store. Unfortunately, I was in that I signed up for a year. I got to wait till September to cancel mine and lower it down to the basic store. But eBay's been doing that I don't know if it's everyone, but at least me. Just having an eBay account gets me 10,000 free listings a month, or it's something absurd like that. So I'm not even using any of my free store listings. So I would definitely recommend the basic store if you do already get those free buy it now listings. But I really like the idea of having you do get slightly lower fees compared to just an eBay account if you have the basic or greater store. There's a starter level store where I believe that you pay the same fees. But then the biggest perks that I like, or I guess you also get a eBay shipping supply store. I think that's useful. I use that all the time. So that comes in handy as well. And then the biggest thing for me is kind of having your own space on eBay. Being able to build those banners and set up store categories and stuff. I really like the idea of having that versus just, if you have a ton of stuff listed and you don't have an eBay store, if someone clicks on your other items, it's just going to all pop up together. There's not going to be any way to filter it outside of you typing in a search or sorting by newly listed, lowest price, whatever. Whereas with the store, I can have all kinds of categories and do base set, jungle set, fossil set, all the way down. I've actually run into an issue where I don't have enough store categories. Maybe I should consolidate them a little bit, but eBay lets you have 300 store categories between your main categories and your subcategories. And I'm actually at that limit. So as new sets come out, I actually have to delete some of my store categories that have 0 listings.
Oh wow!
So at some point down the line, when Pokemon's on there, like whatever set, I'm gonna have to figure something out there.
I don't categorize too much. Like I have maybe 20, and half of them are empty probably. I just do like PSA graded Pokemon card, CGC graded Pokemon card. But one thing I want to say to you, you can cancel early. When you lock in for a year, you do have to pay a cancellation fee, but just run the numbers. I canceled my subscription early. I paid a cancellation fee, but it was less than if I continued to pay the monthly fee. Just do the math on it, and I might have paid $100 cancellation fee, but I saved $200 in monthly subscription fees. Whatever the exact numbers were, I don't remember, but you can cancel early.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look into that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually looking right now. I'll screenshot it quick and send it to you in Discord. because there's just a fee calendar for how much you owe based on how many months were left.
Okay.
I didn't grab the next question yet. Oh, Justin, we already covered it, but Justin asked, are you guys planning on going back to Denver's Collecticon this year? I think none of us are, right? Mr. Walrus, you didn't say you were going to Denver. Just Charlotte, you said?
Yeah, Charlotte for me.
Yeah. And then that was the one that Nick is not going to.
Yep. Are you doing Long Beach?
Are you doing Long Beach, Walrus?
No.
No.
Oh. Man, not gonna see you till Charlotte.
It's just every Instagram DM is our special moment.
Charlotte will be a blast. Justin Durr says, what do you think about all these vintage box breaks? I just bought 2 boxes today. I'm going to be breaking before Dallas, so I'm part of the problem, I guess. Some people think it's super cringe. Some people buy packs, and people like Rusty do breaks all the time. I don't want the boxes to run out. Someday they might run out. They're not running out anytime soon, I can promise you. There are a lot of WotC boxes out there still, so don't be too sad. It's gonna be a thing for quite a while still. I think someday theoretically it's gonna get closer to the end, but I think we have some time still.
I want them to run out.
Yeah.
No, that would be a sad day.
For what? Like, you're not breaking them. Like,
No, I don't open very much. Maybe 2-3 packs a year.
yeah, they should run out and just get it over with so we can move on to Battle Styles and Chilling Reign.
And as they start running out, I mean,
there we go.
It's a self-controlling thing, because as they start running out, the prices will go up, right? As supply goes down, constant demand or increase, whatever it may be, like the prices will go up if and when they get close to running out, or Pokemon popularity will go down and they'll just be done less because there's not like buyers there for it. But as of right now, like Rusty's been selling them like a madman. It's crazy. It seems like every week he's breaking a base box, and they're flying off the shelf. So, but yeah, if and when we get down to where there's less than X amount or 10 more years of this, and prices will just go up if the demand is still there, and then that will stymie the demand to some extent. So the market price at any given time is just an equilibrium of all the forces. So we'll see where it ends up. And then Justin Durr also asked, have you guys experienced whitening and issues with your hits from Scarlet Violet? Nick opened a ton of it, so he can share. I only opened a little bit, but absolutely. Yeah, I opened a Miriam that was probably like a PSA 6 or PSA 7 out of the pack.
Nice hit for your buyer there.
Yeah.
No, Scarlet, the print quality with Scarlet and Violet was absolutely atrocious. I was planning on sending some of the, whatever they're called, special illustration rares, like the new alt arts, off for grading, and I actually didn't send anything out for grading because I didn't think I pulled one card that would get a PSA 10. So I sold everything raw.
Haven't opened a single pack.
You haven't opened any Scarlet and Violet yet?
No.
Man, you're not missing out much on there.
Yeah. PSA 6s.
That's my number 2.
Retrospect says, how come everyone has a cool Pokemon office except for me? I guess you're not enough of a collector boy, because I'm a collector boy and I got all this stuff I collect behind me. Mr. Walrus with a nice backdrop there. I had never seen your backdrop. I was curious what we were gonna have, and you're one-upping Nick for sure.
Nick went for the inside of an aquarium look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta keep the blue consistent.
And I will say before I get to this next question, for a long time there, we were over half an hour behind chat, but I'm within 10 minutes of chat right now. So continue to add your questions if you have anything for us to answer. We will be going as we normally do till 4:30 p.m. So about another 50 minutes from now as I say this. But yeah, Josh the Green Shiz coming in a little late. Very, very excited to have Mr. Walrus in the house. Question for Walrus, do you prefer collecting video games or cardboard? And he specifies not flipping, just collecting.
I like the video games better. I mean, for me as a kid, Pokemon was the games. You got your first game. I have a Game Boy Color too. The first Game Boy. So I have two brothers. So everything was like for us. Everything was shareable. But then I got the Game Boy, and like that was mine. Like nobody could touch it. So just started playing the Pokemon games every single time. So like I enjoy games a lot more than the cards. I would sell the cards before the games, I think.
I forget. I think it's James that says from time to time, because James had a little foray into video games. I don't think he's actively buying any still, but I think it was him that made a good point. I do have a connection to all of WotC, especially like the base unlimited Charizard that I could never pull when I was younger. I remember getting it for Christmas. I remember trading on the bus for the Venusaur. Like I have a story behind some of my cards from when I was younger. But at the end of the day, like how much time did I actually hold and cherish and look at that Charizard? Quite a bit, but not like 50 hours. Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Crystal, hundreds of hours of gameplay into each game. So the relationship is a lot more like, weird word to use maybe, but your relationship with a video game is a lot more like intimate. You're actually you're interacting with the game much more extensively for longer periods of time. So I completely understand it. You can't see all of them on screen, but in the corner you can see my I had the Indigo Game Boy Advance. That's my actual box from when I was younger. I do have a seal. Oh no, that's the sealed one. I have my box from when I was younger though, and my opened one. I have a lime green Game Boy Color. Those are so nostalgic because I think of like that little see-through purple wormlight that I had sitting in the back of car rides and rainy days when I was camping. How many hours I would put into those, like so much more time. I definitely do cherish the memories, a lot more deep memories with my video games. I'm not super into video game collecting, but I do completely understand it. Like some people say, oh, you can't play the game, it doesn't make sense. I get it because I have so much tied to those games, so many hours, hundreds of hours into those games.
And there's just so much too. Like back in the day, going through remotes, taking the batteries out and swapping them for your dead ones, hoping nobody noticed. There's just so many things that like
great memories. Yeah.
I don't know, but like I remember like when I was little, I read on the internet, like because you're little and you're stupid, like put the batteries in the freezer. That'll recharge them. So like I would use my batteries for some reason, thinking it's gonna recharge them. There's just so much with video games that you're not gonna get from the cards.
Better than the microwave. I mean, the microwave would be a real rough go if you went for that.
It's just so, like I don't know, and it was a simpler time just growing up with a Game Boy. Like there wasn't some kid at school would tell you, "Oh, this is how you get a Mew. This is how you do this," and you didn't Google it. You just tried it for hours on hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely fully get that. And I mean, I was just talking about it earlier too, trying to clone the Mew on the bus, and I forget exactly how it worked, but you had to pull the link cable when the one Pokemon went into the Pokeball and before it transferred through. I had a long bus ride when I was growing up, so I was one of the last ones off the bus, and I'd make sure to get all my trades in on both the Game Boy and the trading cards. I was running both angles.
Well, it makes sense if you lived anywhere close to where since you live in the middle of a cornfield now.
Yeah. Josh says, well, Josh, welcome to the PokeFlippers. Appreciate you joining the membership. He says Mr. Walrus in his first YouTube video already has better lighting than old school. He had some comments on your paint job too. Here we go. Question for Walrus. Josh is just going at it. What was the worst part about having a booth next to Old School in Orlando? To Mr. Walrus.
Next 1,000 tables that he has and can't keep up with.
You got to work for him for free. Standing next to him, you just get enlisted.
I'm making him so much money. You let people go, and I'm like, no, have him pay now. If he changes his mind, we'll do a refund.
There we go. There we go.
Nah, but Nick's a little celebrity. Like, so many people would just come up to him and talk to him. Like, it was nice.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a lot of fun. Definitely gonna have to bring someone to help me for Charlotte. So I want to do a half section there, and I struggled with 3 tables in Orlando. Could not have done it without Walrus on one side and Palatown still on. They definitely helped out big time, especially on Saturday. That was absolutely insanity on Saturday. But my rebuttal to Josh's question there would be, I didn't really like having you in my section, Josh, Mr. Selling $500 worth of stuff the whole weekend. That really didn't help our numbers towards the competition.
There we go. I like it. Let's get some back and forth going. Get that engagement out of Josh in the chat. You love to see it. We do have a couple questions coming in, but we are almost completely caught up with chat. There was one other topic. I don't want to say names. Nick will probably end up saying names, but there was one video that came up in the community recently that I just wanted to comment on. There was a suggestion made that you should take the free supplies from the post office and then use those for non-priority mail services. And I would just say, I don't even think there's 2 sides to this argument, though I guess there is, because there was a video made suggesting one side. Please do not steal supplies from the government. They explicitly say on them, these are not to be used for non-priority mail services. I don't know if either of you two have anything more to elaborate on that, but as far as how I package items, I do utilize priority mail flat rate for certain things like shipping heavy bulk, shipping things high value. I'll go to a small flat rate box. But yeah, I only get the free shipping supplies from the USPS to utilize for those services. And I can only recommend that people do the same, because not only is it not allowed to be done, they can and will fine you if they see that you are using padded flat rate mailers as like void fill inside of a package. Very hard that they ever would, but if they ever inspected it for whatever reason, they can and do fine people. I mean, you can Google it and you can see that people are actually fined for misusing that government property of some kind, right?
Yeah, one thing I was surprised to hear was so basically hiding like putting something in a flat rate box to use it as a box, and then putting it inside of a one of those
poly mailers.
I'm surprised that's never been caught with this person, because I've gotten packages that are like that. Either there's like the brown tape all over the box, or it's packaged something like that where you could obviously tell that it's a medium, a large flat rate box, whatever. And they've actually opened some of those and charged me priority mail shipping instead of whatever the
parcel select or whatever.
Instead of charging me, instead of letting it go, they'll upcharge it to whatever the flat rate cost is. So they do definitely keep track of that stuff, and that's the whole reason why they started putting all the priority mail text inside of the flat rate boxes, is because people were
turning them inside out,
flipping them inside out and using them as regular boxes. So definitely something I wouldn't do. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. Shipping supplies are cheap enough where you're not saving a ton of money by doing that. It is not worth the risk. If your business is banking on the fact that you're going to save 50 cents on a box, you do not have an actual. You're just in it for. You're just in it for the views at that point and to piss me off.
And at the end of the day, it's not even that you're stealing from the government. It's that you're making this service more expensive for everyone else who's actually using it the right way. Like I see Josh. I see some comments in the chat. It's part of the fee increases for. I mean, some amount of their calculation is building in the cost of those supplies to the service level you pay. Back when I started on selling, back when I started using medium flat rate boxes, I remember medium flat rate boxes being like $9 or $10, large flat rate being about $13. I remember $4.95 small flat rate boxes. Now it's like $9 flat rate boxes. Now it's like $15 medium flat rate and $20-something large flat rate. Some amount of that is from people stealing the supply. So it's like directly affecting everyone who uses the services. When you steal the supplies, and it's not stealing it from the government, really, it's stealing it from the consumer.
Yeah, Pokenav's an idiot.
Agreed.
No, but to like teach people like this scummy way to ship is one thing. To like make a video is another. But to go on and like say I've done it 1,000 times, like just.
I'm up here on my fence, not naming names, and then Walrus is down here throwing names around.
That's like the stupid part. Like you can just be like, "Oh, it was entertainment, whatever." But for him to be like, "I've done this 1,000 times," you're an idiot. And like, I didn't understand the Nick hate until I saw that video.
Oh, now you're on my side. I like it. I like it.
It's annoying, and you can avoid him. Obviously, you still watch all his videos. But like, yeah, just like after that, I'm like, yeah, this guy's stupid. I'm with Nick.
Yes. Yeah, hate watching is a real thing. No, it was funny. Dan actually mentioned the video because he has his notification bell set up for Pokenav. He's a fan.
I saw it linked in Discord. It was being linked in Discord very frequently.
And was trying to save 50 cents on shipping too.
Yeah.
I thought he was done with YouTube. I didn't know he was back on YouTube, but apparently he is.
Now you can let the hate watching recommence. Anyways, that was one of our. I think that was the only other topic that we had that we wanted to discuss aside from what questions came up. So I figured we'd take it during a lull where we only had like a 2-minute backlog of questions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we covered all the topics that we had in mind. I don't think there was another one.
So the next.
Did you have anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, Walrus. If you have any topics, if you have any questions for us or Nick, I guess if we have any questions for Walrus, I think Chad is doing a good job though of coming up with good, engaging questions.
I'll try to think of a spicy one before we end.
I like it. The Pee-wee's question is, do you think there will be an increase in the value of vintage Japanese cards like what is happening now with modern Japanese? Seems like it's due to the new influx of Chinese collectors. Depending on the vintage card you're talking about, like some of them are definitely seeing it. A lot of the trophy type high-end cards have seen a pretty big increase. Those are primarily what a lot of the higher-end Chinese buyers are targeting. Like I know PSA 10 Shinings, for example, like a set card, but a more premium set card, have seen big increases in the past several months. So I don't think it's going to get down to like sub $100 PSA 10 set cards too drastically. But at the end of the day, yeah, I guess to an extent it's already happening. I don't know if you're talking with respect to some certain card, but I think some things have definitely seen it already.
Yeah, I do think it'll like to some extent it has started, and I think it will continue. Where especially the PSA 10s in particular, we're starting to see an upswing with those, and then like the trophy cards and the higher end that. And I think we'll continue to see that specifically because of Chinese collectors, Chinese investors, buyers, whatever. Modern, I don't know who is buying that stuff. the pricing on some of those modern waifu Japanese cards from the newest set is absolutely insanity. I have no idea who's buying those types of cards. What are your thoughts on that one? And can you make sense of it there?
Nobody can. You can't read it. Like
You can't. Between the Ropes has a question for me, but I guess I can pass it along to you guys too. What video game have you put more hours into than any other? For me, I think RuneScape. I probably have more into RuneScape because I played it back in my childhood, middle school type years. I used to play it some in college during class, like AFKing some skills on the side. And then I've been playing old school RuneScape since it's come out on mobile. And I used to play it at work here and there, like on breaks, on lunch. Might have been able to AFK some random skills here and there as well. But I think RuneScape would trump Pokemon Game Boy games. So what about you guys? What's the most hours you put into any video game?
Probably like Halo 3. Yeah, it would have to be like Halo 3. Like I don't have any games that I still play like you, that you've been playing RuneScape since you were like 3 or something.
Yeah, for like 20 years. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, so for me it's probably just Halo every day after school for 6 hours, and then the whole summer just going to bed at like 4 in the morning playing.
And that's
My
Halo
parents were
3 you said,
responsible.
but did you play like Halo 2? You played like the whole series?
Yeah,
Or
Halo 1 wasn't online. Halo 2 was online, but then when the Xbox 360 came out, and like by then I had a job, so I bought it. And then like I just
'Cause I would lump those in personally. I'm lumping in old school RuneScape today with like original RuneScape, which technically is RuneScape 3 today. So I'm kind of lumping in like a series of games together.
and yeah, probably like the Halo series for me.
What about you, Nick?
Um, for me, I think it would be it would either be like Call of Duty, like the original Modern Warfare, like the first one and then the second one. I played those a lot back in the day. Or another one that I played a ton of and think is the greatest game of all time was Age of Empires, specifically 2 and 3. I absolutely love those games and
Those were
played
awesome.
those way too much.
Did you play online?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
2 I never played online. 3 I played online pretty much all through college. And I absolutely loved that game. That was such a
Similarly, a real-time strategy game built very similar feel to Age of Empires. Did you ever play Empires: Dawn of the Modern World or no?
Yes, I did play that one too. Yep.
I have one sealed up here behind me, right next to my Schultz and Dooley Steins. I have Age of Empires: That was my favorite. I really liked Age of Empires, and I think I played 2 and 3, and then Empires: Dawn of the Modern World came out, and my best friend from my childhood, he was the best man at my wedding. I'm actually going out to watch the hockey game tonight with him. He had the game too. We used to play that on together. We used to play like duos together online. I love that game. I have a lot of time into that game too, but still nowhere near RuneScape or Pokemon.
Yep.
I thought Nick was gonna say Candy Crush or something since he doesn't play games.
Candy Crush.
It's funny. I literally almost said the same exact thing. When he had that like pause, I'm like, Nick's about to come out here with Candy Crush or like Farmville or something. Oh man.
No, you know what I have been playing recently is they did it a while back, but I somehow just found out about it. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Or,
Yes.
like the actually came out on
Wait,
as like
mobile?
an app for the iPhone. So I've been playing a lot of that, building up my empire.
That's dangerous. Roller Coaster Tycoon Mobile. I did not know that was a thing. I might have to download that too for the kicks. I used to love that game. Yeah, video games.
I don't know if it's for just the far superior iPhone, or if they have a shitty Android version too. But
yeah, I completely get what James was saying about like having, or maybe it was Cam even. It was Cam or James. I'm pretty sure. Maybe they just talked about it together on one of their episodes. But I completely understand like the deeper connection you get to a video game, because you immerse yourself in that universe, right? Like you spend hundreds of hours in this like other universe just in your mind, especially when you did it as a child, all that nostalgia and all that stuff tying in together. And that's why Pokemon runs so deep, because it's like I hit it from, I watched the anime a little bit, but I was mostly games and cards. The Pokemon just like assaulted from all fronts, and it just like it owns my nostalgic side of my brain. But RuneScape is in there too. Hermit Man 1 has a question. Not everyone can have access to distribution pricing. Is it ethical to for those that do to also snag up retail deals, or is it fair game? Like Evolving Skies booster from Pokemon Center. So I personally did not buy any of the Evolving Skies. I just didn't time it right. I think I saw the notification in Discord, and then it was long gone by then. But me personally, I don't have any moral dilemma. I don't have, like, if I had the opportunity to click buy it now and make $1,000 from the Pokemon Center, arbitraging Evolving Skies, I would have. I just mistimed it. I guess I get it to an extent why people might not like that, but I personally don't see anything wrong with it. I didn't sign anything saying, hey, you're not allowed to buy at retail as a consumer because you have wholesale access. If that were a thing, like that would be different. But yeah, I didn't go into any kind of an agreement saying you are only going to buy this from us at wholesale. A lot of the products I do have to buy, like they are consumer, like retail only, as far as like the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs and all these nice things behind me. So I'm a consumer and I'm a retailer. I don't personally see issue. Do you guys?
no, I don't necessarily see an issue with that either. I don't go on the Pokemon Center very often. But I'm regretting back in the day not buying Pokemon Center ETBs for celebrations. I should have bought more of those. I think I got one case initially, but that was it. But yeah, no. So I did that, which I guess that's a little bit different. Everyone has to get them through. But at the same time, if it's not going to be you buying it to resell it, there's going to be someone else. It's never going to be an ideal world where it's the people who actually want it to open it and enjoy it are gonna get it. But I can definitely see where they're coming from there with the like, it's tough because like through the Pokemon Center, I don't mind it because there is normally a limit. But what gets me is seeing like the videos of people going to Target, Walmart, a grocery store, whatever, and just absolutely loading up a cart with Evolving Skies blister. That to me feels a little scummy. I don't think I would be.
How do you know those people have distribution in place?
Oh, that's true. That's true. I don't know. Even if they don't have distribution, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to be doing that.
What if you saw them
just clearing off the shelves?
They load up their shopping cart, they load it up to their car, and they don't return the shopping cart. Do you like them more or less?
Then it would be okay.
Yeah, you got to get into the nuance. Got to get into the nuance of it.
I'm against it. I think if you guys buy at retail, that means you took my boxes that I would have bought. So
that is true. That is true.
It's all the same thing. I mean, what are the like? You're not going to go out and buy like Walmart, and I'm gonna miss out. Like, if you have distribution, chances are you're not buying at retail.
Yeah, like
Like,
I never like I occasionally over the past few years went to Walmart, went to Target, and I saw some products there that would have had some amount of arbitrage. I never do buy from retail like that. The only exception would be like online. Like if like I said, if I was there ready, Nick, would you have made $1,000 on Evolving Skies case if you were there timed right and had the opportunity?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know who would decline that opportunity. It's I get it to an extent, but at the end of the day, like no one needs this stuff, and it's fine missing out on things and blah blah blah. One question I almost missed. On to the next thing. I'm not really a Yu-Gi-Oh guy at all, so I don't know enough to have any expectations, but I have heard about this. Expectations for Yu-Gi-Oh anniversary sets. Why don't you start, Walrus? Because I don't know if Nick will have much either.
it's cheap. I mean, they're reprinting the first. I think it's like the first 6 sets. They're doing booster boxes, and like this one is a special like a collection box that'll have one of the six pack booster packs, and then like a special promo. It seems like they're printing a lot. So I mean, I think they'll be cheaper down the line. I can guarantee you they'll be cheaper if you wait.
Guarantee.
I'm
Money back guarantee.
I'm excited. I never opened any like Yu-Gi-Oh booster boxes, so like I'll be buying some for sure. Just because like LOB, all that stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've talked about this before. How Yu-Gi-Oh is the next thing that I got into after Pokemon. And
that's right. I forgot about that.
Actually played Yu-Gi-Oh for a little while, not seriously, just like at recess. And actually had a lot of fun with that. So I can't wait to open some cheap-ish LOB packs. I'm excited for it. I talked with my distributors to see if Yu-Gi-Oh is something I could order, and unfortunately, that's another one that's brick and mortar only. So I won't be getting anything through distro, but I'll definitely buy some to just open for fun.
Question for you guys: if you were in a warehouse, would that count as a location? Because I know a lot of warehouse places that have like everything that's like storefront only.
I think it depends on the IP. Some of them have different requirements. Some of them require you to actually send a picture of like your public facing sign, your storefront, and then some of them require play space. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier when Nick was talking about having an LGS with no play space. But it would be IP by IP, and it would be distributor by distributor probably, whether or not, because I actually know people who own businesses. Like I know people who own some commercial real estate that I could probably like finagle into saying it's brick and mortar. But I've contemplated it before, but I've not looked too deep into it because I have enough to keep me busy. But down the line, like who knows? One thing I wanted to say too, just a nice spicy finish on the Yu-Gi-Oh anniversary sets. I'm not big into Yu-Gi-Oh at all. I have no connection to it. Same goes for Magic, to be honest though too. I love what Magic did with theirs. If Yu-Gi-Oh's were $1,000 for 4 packs, I'd be all in on it. But since it's so cheap and accessible to everyone, I'm not after it.
A hot take there.
Yeah. Gotta dial up the spice a little bit from time to time. but that's mostly a meme. But honestly, like if they had like $1,000 thing that was like getting a ton of media attention on YouTube, I'd probably buy it for the memes and just and Magic. I do have more of a connection to Magic. Some of my cousins played it when I was younger, so I actually did see Magic cards when I was younger. Some of the cards from Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, those actually are familiar artworks to me, even though I never played it or anything. And then I do value Magic's historically. I value it as being like the first and oldest, like first established TCG. So mostly memeing there, but a little bit like it would be more on my radar if it was going to be an exclusive product. And who knows, if it was 1,000, I might have ended up buying it. Eddie wants to know if we saw Leonhardt's boxing fight. I did see a recap of it that he lost, but I did not watch it like live or anything.
that he lost. He got wrecked. I was surprised. I thought Leonhardt would put up a good fight there, but that was seemed to be very one-sided.
Oh, the whole thing?
No, he did good up until the end. At the end, he seemed to get wrecked.
He was good until he lost.
Yeah.
Brad G wants you to estimate how much the Yu-Gi-Oh! 1 of 1 sells for. I have been loosely following it because a lot of people are talking about it in Discord. Tyler the Creator, I think it's called. $100,000. Tyler the Great. I think it's I think it's at 100,000, or it was at 100,000 last night. I'm gonna guess $500,000, even 500K. Complete guess. You guys have guesses?
What's your guess, Walrus?
It's sad. It's a Cancer Kids card. What's that worth?
Yeah.
Maybe a billionaire will buy it and then let him keep the card and say, here's I think Josh mentioned that in a video or a live stream where he's like, if I had enough money, I would just buy it, and then I would contractually obligate the kid to well, the kid is now an adult. I think I would contractually obligate the person to like retain it for forever. So give them the money so that they can do what they got to do, but then they continue to own it.
I mean, I don't know, because did he waste his wish if he's selling his card now?
I don't think so. I think he's doing better than other people. Like if your wish was a trip to Disney World, which that's like a popular wish. You get what, a week, 2 weeks in Disney World, and then it's done forever. At least this way, he was able to see the process of them making the card, get the card. He held on to the card for whatever, 15, 20 years, something like that. Or I guess not 20 years, but a long time. And now he's able to sell the card for a literal life-changing amount of money. So not only did it change his life back then as a kid, but it's also going to change his life again now because of what the card's going to sell for.
But that's the thing too, though. Should Make-A-Wish keep the money? Like, hey, we thought you were gonna kind of not make it. That's why we made you this wish. Like Konami, like, hey, like we one solid for you, dude. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. I think he's held on to it long enough where it's okay to sell it at this point.
I fear for everybody else that wants this wish now that it's not going to happen because he just paper hand the card away.
I don't know. Keeping it for as long as he did, I wouldn't say that's paper hand. I can almost guarantee if that was my card, it would have gotten thrown out years and years and years ago. It would have ended up at a yard sale, gotten thrown out. I would not have if I got that as a kid.
What's your guess though?
Yeah, did you guys say numbers?
I'm gonna say I don't know. I know very little about you. I'm gonna say 700,000. Complete and utter guess there. It'll be interesting. I just checked. It's Skya mentioned it's at 135 now with 9 days left. I don't understand why. I don't know whose eBay account they're using. An eBay account with 40 feedback and 97% positive feedback.
Authenticity guarantee.
I don't know who said that was, who gave the green light for that.
Authenticity guarantee,
and then
though.
The item details and the description and the I forget if there's a subtitle or not, but the way that listing was put together is absolutely atrocious.
Those things don't matter, though. The amount of publicity.
Look good. This is going to be a listing this is going to be a card that's talked about on so many different platforms. It's going to be on the eBay homepage. and all of that stuff.
In before it ends for like 150K and people say, oh, well, it was poorly that thing is getting so much free advertising that card is going to achieve true market value regardless. Like, I don't care that it's 97% eBay authenticity guarantee exists. That card is getting a lot of publicity. That card will achieve whatever the true market value is. Like, yeah, those things don't, in my opinion, those things don't matter whatsoever for a one-of-one card being sold in that fashion.
Don't you think they should have spent the 2 minutes to make a good listing?
They should have done it better, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, they probably should have sent it to Golden or Heritage so that they could pump it even more, so that Kenny Golden would have said, oh, this is probably a $50 million card, whatever. Yeah, it should have been done differently, but like, that card will achieve its true market value for the time.
Beckett been pushing the card at all? I feel like I've seen nothing from them at all.
I'm surprised by that, but then again, I'm kind of not surprised knowing how Beckett is with their technology. But you know, you would think they would be putting it on and all. Maybe they'll start now that the auction started, but you would think they would have been doing that after.
Tyler, the Creator's a rapper. I just realized the Grinch is memeing on me in chat. I'm like, I knew it had Tyler in it, and then Tyler, the Creator, just sounded like that was in my brain from somewhere, so it fit. But yeah, the rapper Tyler, the Creator, does not have a card. It is Tyler, the Great Warrior, Google tells me.
I'm glad I didn't go to Golden, though. That guy will fondle your cards to no end.
Well, we have 15 minutes left, and I think we have quite a few questions we need to rattle through. So I'm going to go to the next one. Retrospect says, here's a question. Can at least one of you jokers provide me some hopium and tell me this shit is going to continue for 3 to 5 years? By this shit, I'm assuming he's making boatloads of money in plastic encapsulated cardboard. I wouldn't have quit my job if I didn't think my prospects for making a good living in this weren't there for at least like a decade. So I think we have at least a few more years. Maybe not to the insane levels we are, but I'm comfortable that I can make 50K plus a year for the next several years doing what I'm doing. I'm making quite a bit more than that, but like, if you need to make 100K a year, 200K a year to justify doing this, I would be a lot more cautious about that happening. But yeah, like what my expectations are, where I need to be, I'm really comfortable that I'm going to be able to make out fine.
And I can't imagine Retro having more than one slab in his house at a time. Like, he just sells everything quickly.
Max paper hands. And Josh says in chat, I mean, Rusty was doing good business in 2013. I think we'll be fine in 3 to 5 years. Absolutely. But Rusty in 2013 was making a lot less and living a lot less than some people's lifestyles. Like, if you need to make 15K a month and you need to scale that by 5% a year, like you might in some kind of a corporate 9-to-5 job, I would really pump the brakes on that. But if you're fine living on $4 or $5 grand a month, something like that, more like a typical median income for a job, I think that's much more reasonable, especially if you have experience and have some amount of inventory to start off.
I'm loving these positive takes from you over there, Mr. Doom and Gloom all the time. It's a nice breath of fresh air. No, I agree with you. I think it's here to stay, at least for a while, for foreseeable future. But just like you said, it just depends on how much you want to be making every month, every year, whatever. If you don't need to be making a ton of money, it's definitely feasible to be able to do this full time or even part time and make a decent bit of money.
Reeks is trying to get me in trouble here with this question. I feel like some drama is going to come up. Question: how do each of you value your time in dollars an hour figure based off your current businesses / workload? If you were to charge a consulting fee, what do you think you are worth? I do periodically do consultations. I've taken half an hour consults with people who reach out. I don't advertise it too much publicly because people are just weird and they get like butthurt about people charging for their time, their knowledge, their value, their experience. I do $100 an hour and I do $50 for a half hour. And I'm usually pretty generous with, like, I'm not 60 minutes counting my commute to my office, my commute to the computer back and forth. And I usually go a little bit overtime if people are there wanting it, asking questions. But yeah, that's what I charge for my time. I don't do it very frequently, but I've done dozens of them over the past couple years. And as far as, like, I can't do a full-time job based off that. I'm not getting enough. Like, I'm not averaging one a week over the last year, but I've done maybe one a month, one every few weeks I'm doing. But how do I value my time in dollars an hour based off my current businesses? It's variable. I mean, there are certain tasks that I do that make me $10-20 an hour. Then there are certain times where I can buy a collection. I can effectively make $300 an hour for some small portions of my time. But overall, at the end of the day, like, I know what I need to make. Not really need even, but like what I need, what I want to make to justify doing this as a job over being a chemical engineer or whatever other things I might be able to be. I want to make like $30 an hour minimum. I want to make on it, like, my minimum average. I want to make like $60K a year is just like a ballpark number where I want to be. I'm exceeding that by quite a bit given the circumstances of what's gone on the past few years. But if and when things go down a lot, if and when retro, the next 3 to 5 years don't pan out the way that, like, continuing on the gravy train we've all been on, I'm perfectly fine working for $30 an hour, $25-30 an hour. Not everyone is, though. Like I said, it's all relative to your expectations and your needs. So that's where I'm at personally.
My time isn't worth a lot to me, so it's not going to be worth a lot to anybody else. That's how I feel. What you got, Nick?
I'm the same way as you. Almost to a fault. I do not value my time whatsoever. I've always said I'd be better off working at like McDonald's than doing what I'm doing. If you're looking at it from like an hourly wage perspective, I've never actually calculated, but I would imagine it's really, really bad. But then again, on the flip side, I really enjoy it. It's both a job and something that I'm with. So like, do you count when I'm watching TV and sort of, am I working or am I relaxing? So it's a lot of that. But yeah, I spend a lot of time on Pokemon related stuff and eBay and all that stuff.
So if someone reached out for consultation, will you work for the same $5 an hour that you work on 5-cent singles?
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not.
What's your consultation rate if someone reached out?
It's tricky in those cases. I've been doing 50 for a half hour. And then obviously it'll pretty much always go over a little bit over that. Just like talking about stuff in the beginning or at the end of the call or whatever. But that's what I've been doing, and like you, Dan, it doesn't happen very often. But every once in a while, have someone reach out. Mainly for me, it's mainly about like getting started, getting that set up, and creating listings and all of that stuff.
Good. So you're going to get canceled too because you charge for your time like a monster. So Reeks didn't just get me canceled. Clip it. Old School is charged for his time too. Monster. Trying to speed up through a couple of these other ones. The Green Shiz says, what's the most money/cards you've ever been scammed on? I've definitely bought beauty products on Buyee that came in damaged and there's no recourse. I've bought various collections on eBay that didn't pan out. And eBay, you can always be protected, so I wouldn't cover those and getting scammed. Maybe $500 through Buyee.
$50 on Dan's last box break for me.
There you go. $50 on MetaZoo Native for Walrus.
Oh man. I'm most amount of money or cards you've been scammed on. Buying wise, I can't necessarily think of a time I've been scammed that I'm sure it's happened. I can't remember. Aside from like condition being way worse than I thought it would be, that type of stuff. Maybe a couple hundred in those cases. Nothing too drastic that I can remember.
Josh has one for you. Nick, you talked a little bit ago, a couple episodes ago, maybe about doing cryptic, some small amount of box breaks for singles. Whatever happened with that? Josh wants to know.
Yes. That was poor timing. So the Genesis Wave or Genesis 2, which is the cryptid set that I ordered, came out the exact same day as Scarlet and Violet. And so I did get my boxes. I got 30 boxes of the set. But because it came out the same day as Scarlet, I didn't open them, and then I haven't. So at this point, I'm not quite sure on what I want to do. I think I'll still open some for myself, but then the other ones, I don't know. I gotta look into pricing and stuff on that. I do really like the artwork on the cards, and I would like it to be successful. But having them release it the same day as Scarlet is rough.
Here's one, Josh, again with another question. Quick hitters. Question for all your worst and favorite aspects of MetaZoo. Favorite, I will say, the unique hollows by set, the known print runs, the unique wrapping around the boxes, and then like the E-Series style feel. Like hollow boxes are pretty cool. Nightfall was glow in the dark. That was neat. Least favorite aspect? I would say... people are going to think I'm shilling for it because I'm a partner and all that, but I don't have many gripes with MetaZoo. Like, definitely the mapping of Seance and the issues where like Nightfall had too many reverse hollows. Some of the clumping and like the production side issues, I guess, would be my major gripes with MetaZoo. I wish it was all like, it is intended to be true randomness, and I wish it just always had hit true randomness always. But it's had some periodic issues with like, I mean, I pulled 2 serialized cards out of 10 within the same product line. It could have happened by pure chance, but it probably was more of an artifact of like clumping. So yeah, those would be my pros and cons.
What are yours? You have any?
For mine, the best. The artwork's getting good. Worst, Dan.
Yeah, there we go. I like it. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, no, for me it would be I like the transparency aspect where they tell you how many boxes of each set they're printing. I think that's a cool concept there. Aside from that, though, the rest is the worst. No, it's just not for me. I don't really like the cards. The product being delayed, I think, is
Jake Smith in chat
unless
says,
you get the product, then it's not.
Jake Smith says buying cryptic but doesn't like MetaZoo. Okay. Yeah, I really enjoy MetaZoo, and I had the hot take during my live stream that probably very few people watched, but I was having some beverages, ripping some native, and MetaZoo, I think it was where I said it, MetaZoo will outlive Lorcana.
Ooh, that's a spicy one right there.
Yep, I think MetaZoo is run by someone more passionate that cares more. Disney, at the end of the day, it's going to be like a cold-hearted, which I don't fault them. Like I'm not saying this as a fault, but it will be more of a cold-hearted business decision. And Disney makes so much money in so many places. TCGs will be tiny for them. I think they will pump. People will pump the shit out of Lorcana, and Disney will print the shit out of it to feed into the pump because they're just making their money. Like, they don't care about secondary market prices. I think Disney will just rake off Lorcana, and I think they will print it into the ground and it will die. Not like 100% guaranteed by any means, but I think MetaZoo is more likely to be here in 10 years than Lorcana, personally.
You could insert Pokemon instead of Lorcana, and it's the exact same scenario, no?
Nope, definitely not.
It's printing to hell. What are you talking about?
Pokemon is navigating it really well. Like right now, they could print and drop 2 million boxes of Evolving Skies, and they could do that. They could have done that with Team Up. But Pokemon is more tactful, I think, than people give them credit for. They're printing 9.1 billion cards, and so on. But they've really navigated it really well, because last time we had a boom of this magnitude was 1999, and they almost killed it. They almost killed it because 3 years later, boxes were $40. And that's where we're at with MetaZoo right now. MetaZoo kind of overprinted. They got a little overzealous. They kept the print run too high for too long. And right now, there are boxes that are $40, just like there were in Pokemon. But Pokemon survived it. I think MetaZoo will too. I think it's being run by not a public company, being run by someone who created it, who's more passionately tied to it. I think it's just more likely to survive personally. Whereas Disney Lorcana is tied to like that whole corporate, it's all dollars and cents. You got to make the shareholders happy. Pokemon makes most of their money in video games, and then they make more money in What's Behind Me than they make in cards. You can look at how that $100 billion breaks down, and a lot more of it is merchandise than is cards. But primarily, it's video games leading the way, I believe. Video games and then merchandise.
Everything's just getting absorbed, so we don't see anything on the shelves or anything like that. I think as soon as demand slows down a little bit, we'll start to see.
Oh, I think there could be pain. I don't think to the extent that there was in 2003 to 2005, but I'm going to make a video soon about the pain that could be in the future for ultra modern sealed Pokemon, especially. Because if and when people move away from it all at once, like price goes up because price goes up, but price goes down because price goes down too. If and when things start going down, people are very fickle. Demand can shift quickly, and we could have $60, $80 ultra modern booster boxes. I don't think we will. I think Pokemon is navigating it well, but that's absolutely a possible outcome. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we could easily get to another Crimson Invasion type thing.
Yep. And I think the wrong way to look at it is to say every box today is worth more than when it came out. I think the proper way to look at it is we have a 25-year history. Look at 25 individual years. Don't look at all data points from one vantage point. Right now, you're standing at the top of the mountain looking behind you, and you're saying, well, I'm higher than I was. Well, potentially behind you, are we at the summit yet? Or do we start going down from there? Like, theoretically, we could start going down from there, and demand could wane, and Pokemon could fall out of fashion. I'm not calling for it, but that's what happened in 2003 to 2005, and the boxes were $40 and they weren't selling. That could happen. That could be a thing. It's a risk that a lot of people don't calculate. And if you looked at the 25-year history of Pokemon instead, if you took a snapshot of each of the 25 years, you would get a better picture. Not instead of 100% of sets are up, you would say for approximately 60% of the years of Pokemon, boxes were down, boxes were flat. It was hard to sell. Like there was a lot of darker, smaller, less liquidity times. But yeah, ultra modern sealed doesn't want to hear that. Anyways, I see Josh talking about me working overtime for MetaZoo. You guys have anything else? I think we took all the questions. Let me see. You guys have anything else to wrap up? Let me see if I missed any questions quick. Yeah, I think I hit everything.
I didn't see anything else unless I missed something. I think we did a pretty good job today about keeping up with chat.
Yeah, very much appreciate you coming on, Mr. Walrus. We didn't really do much of an intro at the start, but I think everyone knows the live chat goat that is Mr. Walrus. He didn't really need much introduction. But I did link in the description below. I linked Walrus_tank, I believe it is, on Instagram. I don't know if you have any other things you want to shout out. Are you launching a YouTube channel and launching any YouTube series anytime soon?
A YouTube series. I asked Ray and Thrifty to join me. They agreed. I just got to get around to filming.
Let's go.
But yeah, like I could totally see why Nick doesn't want to do YouTube. Like, it is a drag to plan everything out, and zero motivation, I guess. But I'll end up doing it. Maybe next week is what I'm hoping for.
I'm really looking forward to that.
There we go.
That's going to be awesome.
I'm ready.
It was a pleasure having you on this side of the conversation, on the video side, instead of just in the live chat.
Thank you guys for having me.
Tyler, thanks for coming on. Always fun talking with you.
Kai Oakbacon wanted to be shouted out, so shout out Kai Oakbacon. Nice to see you. Jake Smith saying chat isn't the same without Mr. Walrus. Yeah, your presence was missed. I think you did drop a couple messages here and there. But I mean, I will say live chat is not the same without Mr. Walrus on that side. But live chat, I mean, you guys did a great job keeping up with it. Without missing your MVP, all the sixth man, all the bench players came off and rallied around each other, and you guys did a great job. So shout out chat, shout out Mr. Walrus being on the video side. I appreciate everyone, and we will